a fabulous fabric from the land of the Five Rivers.
Raiders!
2 years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
We back. You already know what time it is.
Oh, you didn't know?
50-50.
Welcome to the 50-50 Show with PharoahNFL and the Severe Raider, the realest show for Raider Nation.
The perpetuation of the greatness of the Raiders to take a professional football team and give it a distinct characteristic that's different from all others.
Make sure to clock in, like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.
Y'all already know what time it is, man. It's the 50-50 Show with myself, PharoahNFL, obviously my guy, the Severe Raider, man. We got a lot to talk about. Training camp is underway. Finally, man, hey, we already know that, you know, football is a year-round sport with the offseason and free agency and the draft. Even it was a, you know, obviously there's that little kind of like little break,
lull and everything
after the mini camps and OTAs, and it's a little break between training camp and now. So it's like, all right, you know what, we back. It kind of went by a little fast. I don't know, for me it did. You know, maybe for some other people it might have been longer because they can't wait for the season. But I understand, I get it. But hey, we got a lot to talk about. Obviously, like I said, training camp is underway. Last week, the rookies reported the training camp on the 23rd. This week, the veterans reported today, actually. If you're watching this on a replay, the 28th. They reported on the 28th, which is today, as this show is getting recorded. But man, so we got it. We're gonna get into it. You know, obviously Kubiak was able to speak to the media. that opening, that intro presser to kick off training camp. He was able to talk to the media. The rumors. What are the Raiders without rumors? I mean, come on, like we're kind of used to it by now. If you know anything about the Raiders, they're always in the news for all types of reasons, good, bad, indifferent, whatever. But in this case, we'll talk about it. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it a I don't know if they should make. There's a rumor out there saying that the Raiders are heavily linked with nose tackle, Tampa Bay Buccaneers nose tackle, Vita, who formally requested a trade with the Bucs. We'll see. He did say that he prefers a West Coast team or the Raiders. It's just a sad day. You know what I mean? What before? Players used to say, "Oh, a West Coast team," and we already knew the Raiders were included in that.
Exactly.
But now you got to say the Raiders because they're not
in Vegas.
They're in Vegas. You know what I mean? They're in the desert. If we're keeping it real, they're in the desert. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I think we'll get into that conversation. Is that a great move for the Raiders? Is it a move that doesn't align with the team's current trajectory or current plans? Like we've talked about before about how the Raiders are a rebuilding team. They need to have moves that kind of reflect that, and everything needs to be within that timeline. Does getting a Vita, is that a move that kind of fits in with their timeline right now? We'll get into that conversation as well. Today, man, we had to disqualify some flags on the play.
So many.
To, I believe Chill Ray. Chill Ray in the chat was good, bro. I think you might have been. We're gonna give you. Was it Chill Ray that actually gave us one of our flags? I believe one of our flags. Oh yeah, he kind of tagged us. I don't know if somebody's seen it, but I think he tagged both of us. I don't know if it was Chill Ray, but I'll double check. But it was one of our flags, which is just to give y'all a heads up, Antonio Brown. That's all I'm gonna say. Y'all already know it's a flag. Anytime it's the Raiders and Antonio Brown in the same sentence, you already know it's a flag on the play.
Off top,
it's a flag on the play. And then and other we're gonna get into a lot of flags on play, some good notable quotables, all that good stuff. And I wanna throw this. There's a specific scenario because I'm gonna bring it up. I guess when we talk about trades, shout out to my guy Ray. He kind of I kind of brought to his attention about a certain trade scenario. He kind of threw one back at me. Shout out to him for kind of putting this in my. Just made me think about it a little bit more, and we're gonna talk about it, a certain trade scenario, and we'll get into that. We'll get into all that good stuff. Yeah, hey, chill, hey man, appreciate you, man. Hey, yeah, it's all good, man. Appreciate you, bro.
Bro. Yes, facts,
man.
Facts.
Hey, like we always say, man, if you guys help us out with the flags on the play, notable quotables, we'll shout you guys out. We appreciate the support, and hey, man, it just adds to the conversation, makes the show even better. But yeah, man, hey, my guy Machiavelli in the building. Was good, man. What's good, man. Appreciate you coming through, bro. We see you doing big things, man, over there. Black Team Broadcast, man, growing at a fast rate, man. So we see you growing, man. Much success to you, brother. Appreciate you coming through. TK in the building. What's good, man? We appreciate you coming through, man. What's good. So let's just get it going right now. So the veterans reported a lot of the talk. You hear Kubiak saying that he came out and said that we're 100% healthy going to training camp. So for all the people talking about the Nakobe Deans and rightfully so, because we didn't see him for a lot of the OTAs and mini camps. Obviously, we're going to question that. They're going into it healthy, which is a good thing. We get to see a full healthy team out there. But I think the main storyline, and it keeps coming back, and then maybe it's the media, the national media keeps talking about it. I seen Adam Schefter, who kind of doubles down. Usually stuff that coming out of Adam Schefter, I kind of listen a little bit because he's a little bit more official than all the other insiders. When he gives you something that's wrong, then it's to me it's a huge shock. If Adam Schefter gets it wrong, I'm like, okay. Hey, damn, it is what it is, man. Like sometimes you win some, you lose some, but that Adam Schefter is pretty official. But he kind of brought up the Mendoza. I'm talking about the Mendoza and Kirk Cousins situation.
Yeah,
and it's not a situation. It's Kubiak in his presser, he kind of came out and said Cousins the starter.
Yeah,
he's the starter because of. He gave some excuse. We know he was a starter. That's the reason why you got him. You wanted him in place, and then Adam Schefter kind of talks about it a little bit, and this is always the plan, and it's not because of Mendoza. It's not anything that Mendoza is going to do. So it's kind of interesting because I've always said that if like Mendoza like plays lights out in training camp and clearly outplays Cousins, to me he should be out there, but from what it sounds like, they don't want that to happen. They have a plan. The reason why Cousins out there is because they don't want. It has nothing to do with what Mendoza is doing. It's more so we want to make sure that everything around him is solidified, so then he can have as much success as possible. That's the route they're going, and Tom Brady's name was dropped as the big reason why, Cousins is here, not to get a bridge quarterback, not to say that, they need a starter, but it was more so like, we want to make sure that we don't give Mendoza too much pressure to come in too early or come into a situation where offensive line ain't protecting, no run game, wide receivers is, not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And, the defense and some young, growing pains that might happen in the secondary where a lot of young players are playing right now. Like, and any of the shortcomings that happen on defense, like we don't want to put too much pressure on a young quarterback. And that keeps coming back. And then I think that conversation, I guess, is being brought back because of what Kubiak is saying. And I just heard Schefter say what he said. Do you feel like that's the right move? I mean, we've talked about it before, but like, now that like we kind of know for sure, it feels like we know for sure, like, okay, opening day starter is Cousins. It's official.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of always, as you said, we kind of always knew this was going to be the route they were going to take. Like we heard Tom Brady say what he wants to do with the quarterback, he feels they should sit. We heard Kubiak say what he wants to do with the quarterback, he thinks they should sit. I want to say Spytek, same thing. He feels they should sit. So here, all the most important people when it comes to this type of decision, when asked the question, they say, yeah, the guy should sit. And then, I mean, so that's part of it. But then also part of it is that, I just don't think they anticipate Mendoza being good enough to beat Cousins out right now. And I don't feel that they want him to be in a situation where he's pressing, trying to win a job instead of taking as much time to learn and grow in the position. Because when you're in the competition, and this is something we're going to talk about a little bit later, your main goal is to win the competition. So you're not necessarily focused as much on being the best player you can be or getting the most development you can get, or taking stretch assignments where you test the outer limits of your ability as a quarterback. Your thing is, I want to perform the best in front of these coaches and look the best in front of these coaches, so therefore they see me and they see the starting quarterback for this team. And I don't think they want Mendoza to be in that mindset. They want him to be in a learning, observing, absorbing mindset, and not I have to win, I have to press, I have to look better than these guys mindset. So I think, I think when you put a guy that kind of environment, I think you want him to still want to go out there and push Kirk. And, obviously you want him to be in a place where he's performing the best that he can perform, but you don't want him to be pressing, trying to beat out another guy.
And you're talking about Cousins specifically?
Yeah, I'm talking about Mendoza in terms of Cousins. I don't think you want Mendoza out there pressing, trying to beat out Cousins, and instead of just learning and getting as much more NFL equipped as he can in this time, as opposed to trying to win a job.
But don't you think that that type of situation would force growth a little bit? Because now you're going to be putting yourself in uncomfortable positions, because you're going to be pushing yourself to figure out a way to make sure you put your best foot forward, or figure out what you need to do in order to beat the guy in front of you. But not now. I get what you're saying, but wouldn't you say pressure makes diamonds? You know what I mean? Wouldn't you say competition kind of is something that you want to preach during this time of year?
I think you want to preach a high level of execution, but you also want to preach an environment where you're expanding yourself as a player. So if you're in a competition, maybe there's a read that you see, and you see a guy, and you're like, man, maybe I can fit this ball in there. But instead of trying to fit that ball in there because it might get picked, he's like, no, what? I'm just check this down. I'm gonna take this check down. Well, in training camp and practices, that's not where you want to be at, right? You don't want to be in, oh, let me take the safe route. Let me not do this in practice. And in practice, this is the time to lab, right? This is the time to experiment and do all those things. And if you're in a competition with somebody else, then you're constantly comparing yourself to somebody else. And Kirk Cousins knows what he is as an NFL player. So he's already ahead of Mendoza in that respect. Mendoza doesn't know what he is as an NFL player. He doesn't know the throws he can make as an NFL quarterback. He doesn't understand how much zip he has to put on the ball, what kind of touch he has to put on the ball. So he's going to be more taking the safe route instead of let me get outside of my comfort zone. Let me do things I normally wouldn't do to kind of see where my boundaries are as a player. Because if you push those boundaries and you're turning the ball over or you're throwing incompletions, then that puts you behind in the competition. And so I think when you're in that competition and you're comparing yourself to somebody else, then you're going to be, okay, I need to put completions on the field, or I need to look good. I need to make it look a certain way instead of making it look a certain way, seeing what you are as a quarterback, learning, developing, and growing.
I see what you're saying. What you're saying is that, like, let him play free and be free and test his boundaries in a situation where he doesn't feel like everything he's doing is being magnified or under a microscope because he's in competition with Cousins. That's basically
exactly
when you kind of draw the line in the sand and say, like, Cousins is the starter, but we want you guys to also compete and put your best foot forward. It's like, all right, yeah, you also are saying, like, okay, yeah, like, Cousins is starter, but at the same time, like, he's the number one pick at the end of the day, so he knows where he stands with the team. So it's more about him kind of.
He ain't getting cut.
Yeah, he's not getting cut. Aiden O'Connell, on the other hand, like, he got to make sure he's on point. You know what I mean? So the next team could get him, because we also talked about him being like a trade candidate. But okay, all right, man. I see where you're coming from, but we'll see how it shakes out. I mean, we've seen situations where coaches come out and say this and that, but this is a very unique situation because it's just not Clint Kubiak who has a say in this whole entire quarterback situation. It's also Tom Brady, who has a little bit of input as far as why guys like Kirk Cousins in the building and what their whole view on the quarterback position. We've heard countless times, at this point, look him up. Tom Brady, when he talks about the quarterback situation, he talks about how the development is wrong, how quarterbacks are coming in, it's with, and just forced into situations. He doesn't really believe in all that. He believes in development and not forcing guys into situations where they have to figure it out. Like, he wants them to give them the best position possible to be successful, but like kind of give that player time. And now we're kind of seeing it unfold now with the Raiders. So it's kind of interesting to see it happen with the team, but we'll keep an eye on it because I know everybody's excited. They want to see, we want to see Mendoza. I'm not gonna lie. I want to see Mendoza out there. Like, if we're
everybody does.
We all want to see them. And even if Mendoza doesn't play well, like, we're all like, just let him kind of go through the growing pains. There's a lot of that thought process, but this is a different Raiders. This is a different team. So, and they're going to find a way to, And we've seen great quarterbacks who've come in that way with that certain line of thinking. Like probably the best quarterback in the NFL right now, Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. Alex Smith was an established journeyman quarterback, came from the 49ers, especially after he kind of turned around his career over there with Jim Harbaugh. And then he comes to the Chiefs, won few division titles, I believe, with the Chiefs. He played well under Andy Reid. They draft a quarterback. He holds this position because at the end of the day, we all know that there is a ceiling with Alex Smith. We all know there's a ceiling with Kirk Cousins. So they drafted a quarterback, and Patrick Mahomes, the rest is history after 1 year of sitting on a bench. So it might be a similar type of situation. So we'll keep an eye on that. But
then if you listen, I mean, if you know what was going on with the Chiefs at that time, because I've listened to a lot of people that talked about what it was like, being around the team at that time, and how the coaches were looking at things. It's like one day out of the week, I don't know if it's like a Alex Smith rest day or what they were doing, like managing his throws or like that. But one day out of the week, they would let Mahomes run with the runs, but run with the ones basically. And I forgot what they had, a name for it, but it was basically a fun day, because everybody knows oh wow, we get to see Mahomes, and Mahomes was out there. He was killing back then, so they kind of knew they had something special already. So that's why at the end of the year they felt so comfortable, getting rid of or letting Alex Smith walk, because they knew they had a guy that was doing some very special things in practice. And I think the Raiders kind of want to get to that same place where, they have a placeholder in Kirk Cousins. And they're starting to see those signs that Mendoza's a guy. Man, you see Mendoza in the practice yesterday, man. That guy Mendoza, he's killing it out there. Okay, and then toward the end of the year, they're like, we appreciate you, Kurt. Nice knowing you. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. And I think they're trying to get to that place.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's ultimately where they're trying to get to. But I can hella what's different about the team, and maybe this is me as a Raider fan, been a fan of this team for so long and been following this team and seeing every type of dysfunctional situation unfold. The one thing that I will say is that this fan base, there's something about it. Maybe it's when things go left, and maybe that's the Mark Davis owned team where he was connected too close to the GM or coach. This situation is we think is different where Mark Davis is the owner now. He's been the owner. He's the majority owner, but he's bringing people in their building. He has Tom Brady overseeing that side of the building as well as so it's a little bit different. So maybe there's a little bit of separation, but when the fan base turns left and they turn on Kirk Cousins, it's going to be interesting to see if they just keep putting him out there. Will it turn out to be a situation like a Russell Wilson, where it's a couple of games, 2-3 games, and then boom, Jackson Dart comes in the game. Same thing, Kirk Cousins, few games, boom, throwing Mendoza. Especially Mendoza is playing lights out in practice and in training camp. He plays well, and obviously at the time that he plays out in preseason, which I'm sure he's probably going to get some reps, that's just going to be even more pressure on Kirk Cousins. So it's going to be interesting to see how it seems like they have a plan and they want to be patient, but this fan base is kind of, it is kind of powerful. A little bit, just based off history, but that was a completely different run franchise. We like to think that it's kind of, it's changed.
We would hope that it's changed.
Yeah.
But another thing you have to consider is that how close is the relationship between Clint and Kirk? Where if Kirk is out there struggling, and the fans are booing him and he's taking just fan abuse every week, he goes out there, and if he starts getting the Geno Smith treatment, does Clint, as a guy that's known Kirk for some time, coached him with the Vikings, does that human element take over? He's like, yeah, I can't let this guy go out there and take this kind of abuse.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and pull him, and obviously at that point, if you pull him, you're likely not going to go to Aiden O'Connell because he's going to get the same abuse. you're gonna have to turn to Mendoza, and if Mendoza isn't ready, like, so how does that decision play out?
Yeah, no, facts. But you know, the biggest storyline right now is not it's not just, you know, the quarterback situation with the Raiders and who's starting, and Kirk Cousins now basically officially kind of named the starter. I think the big news or biggest rumor right now is the fact that like the Raiders are linked to nose tackle Vita from Tampa Bay, who was negotiating a contract with the team, but I guess, you know, right now they're in an impasse. Like they're probably far apart in the numbers. Whatever the case may be, it prompted Vita to basically, you know, request the trade and put out there, I guess his agent probably put out there that he's more open to being traded to a West Coast team or the Raiders. And he said it in that way because now I'm thinking about like, how about Arizona? But so I guess that's a good sign for Raider Nation. That's a good sign. Like a player of, you know, Vita's caliber, you know, he understands the difference between the Cardinals and the Raiders. Like they're like, the Raiders are on an upward trajectory. The Cardinals, they're kind of what the Raiders were a year ago. You know what I mean? Kind of like waiting to get their number one pick, get their quarterback, you know, to build upon whatever, you know, talent they got on the team. So I guess that's a good sign that, you know, Raiders are kind of like being, you know, mentioned as a trade destination. That's a good thing, but there's nothing official. I mean, there are rumors saying that the Raiders have an offer on the table. You know, John Spytek comes from that building. He was an assistant GM to the GM that is currently in Tampa Bay. So, you know, maybe that might be something there, but is it the right fit, Severe?
Yeah, I mean, Spytek knows him. I want to say Spytek was director of player personnel when Vita Vea was drafted out of Washington. So he's very, very familiar with them. Is it the right fit? I mean, from a player standpoint, in a player type standpoint, yeah, it's salute to Ben. But just in terms of, you know, he's 31 years old. I want to say he turns 32 in February. So does he really fit? It's almost a Max Crosby situation where, like, does he fit with the timeline of this team? I don't anticipate this being that much of a competitive team this very next year. You know, we'll maybe start to make strides towards that the year after, and then really be fully, you know, in full like competitive mode the year after that. But for these next 2 years, I don't see us really being a team that's going to make a push for anything. And by the time we do, you know, Vita Vea is going to be 33 years old. He's also a guy that's going to, if he's not happy with what the Bucs are giving him, like, how much money is he really expecting? Because we see Dexter Lawrence just got traded and got paid. Jeffrey Simmons just got paid not that long ago. Jalen Carter, the guy we should have drafted, just got paid.
Yeah.
So, you know, we've seen these defensive tackles, they're starting to get paid. That's pushing the market up for these defensive tackles now. So, you know, how much is Vita Vea going to want, or how much he's going to command, and you know, whether that be salary as well as in terms of draft capital. And are we really in position to be giving up that kind of draft capital? And, you know, in the draft that's coming up, that's going to be a fairly deep draft, and a draft that could conceivably have a whole bunch of quarterbacks get taken early in the first round, which means what? Better players going to get pushed down later in the first round, early in the second round. We're probably going to have an early first round pick and an early second round pick. So do we really want to have to potentially give up an early second round pick for a guy like Vita Vea? I mean, that's not, if we were, you know, full and ready to go, we can compete this year. We had a wide receiver one, like, we kind of knew what we were doing, and we kind of had our eyes on, we're going to be pushing for a playoff spot. We want to make a deep playoff run. Okay, then you can make that move. But right now, there are so many question marks on this team. Sure, trading for him answers one of your question marks, but like, all those other question marks remain, and then you lose the assets that you would need to address those other question marks. So I just don't think this is the time for it.
I hear you. It is tempting though. I'm not gonna lie. It is tempting because if the one thing that gives me pause is the fact that like he can't agree to a contract with the Bucks. He's 31 years old. He wants to get paid. The Raiders, we've constantly said like, hey, this is a rebuild. They need to build the right way. We've heard Spy takes it time and time again. So I don't see them kind of making a deal unless, you know, unless like it makes sense. I'm not sure if it does, because now you got a player that we've kind of said about, let's say, for example, Max Crosby, right? The reason why we were like, you know, at this point, let's see what we can get from Max Crosby is because, you know, we see the Raiders kind of going a different direction. Now, obviously, still with the team for a lot of different reasons, but I'm just giving you an example of like Max Crosby. The reason why we were looking at him possibly getting traded, and we kind of put that out there before all the things that happened and unfolded, and him eventually getting traded, but then not get traded, is because like we see that, you know, Max is getting older. He's been with the team for a while. He wants to win now. He's 28, going 29. We kind of see this team kind of getting younger. They're going to draft a young quarterback, basically build around that young QB. So why would you go out and get a 31-year-old and give him the bag?
Yeah.
You know, how does that make sense? How does that fit in? Now, if it's like I'm trying to make sense of it. Like, what happens if it's a 2-year deal? It's a 2-year deal, because at the end of the day, it's not just about you know, Mendoza, right? And, you know, just trying to win now. It's also like, okay, don't you have to pay other players, younger players that homegrown players, aka Brock Bowers? We don't want anything to get away of that, right? There's other young players on the team, hopefully, that take the next step. And like, if the Raiders want to keep them and actually build through the draft, what's the whole point of saying build through the draft and signing and giving contracts to homegrown players? What's the whole point of doing that if you're going to give the money to some other player from another team that's older? Like, you're literally kind of going backwards at that point. So it's the game is chess, not checkers. So you got to look at, I'm sure Spy Tech is looking at everything, and if he wants to come here for a 2-year deal, I'm sure they can probably front load it if they really want to, but it does make it interesting. I'm not gonna lie, Severe. Like, you pair a guy like him in the middle with the depth we have on that D line, which is mostly on the edge. Yeah. And man, shout out to my guy. Let me address it. He talks about it right here, bro. My guy Raider Smoke in the building. He says, my Tongan brother representing the Yay area, East Paula to be exact. What's up, fellas? Football season is on the corner. I thought you were referring to you're talking about Vita. Who I was gonna talk about was the Raiders did let go Laki Tasi,
yeah.
And I made a joke. I'm like, bro, he don't even count against the roster, and they cut him.
Exactly.
You know, and then I kind of put a little cold-blooded, you know, Dave Chappelle unity.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying too. Like, for them to cut him, he must not have been showing like anything, because like, yeah, he's pathway player. I tell you this right now, because we only have one other player that's eligible to be pathway player on this team. If we mess around and carry 2 kickers on this roster, bro, I'm gonna light some shit up, bro. If we carry Matt Gay and Kensei Matsuzawa, I'm gonna be hot.
Look. I don't mind. Like, I had nothing against Vita, but I just felt like people had high expectations. Yeah. It's similar to Dante Thornton, where people call him Calvin Johnson, this, then a third. Like, yeah. It was the same thing with Lakatasi, because people were amazed by the measurables, right? It says a lot about his physical gifts for him to stay on with the team, not taking up a roster spot, but more so like, you know, even if it was a international pathway, for them to even like consider it, just because his talent was so great in terms of like his physical measurables, the fact that he can move at his size, that they were considering, you know, keeping him on the team. But it's hard because like he's never played football ever. He played rugby. I think that was like his main sport. and then he just started playing football, and that's tough. You're going to the NFL Professional Football League, and you're trying to compete against guys that's been playing football their whole lives. Yeah, like when you're I'm sure in the NFL, like everybody's talented. Everybody has talent, and you have a rare physical ability. But I'm not gonna lie, there has to be a threshold too of like skill level too. Like, and that's why like it's not the biggest, fastest, strongest in the NFL, but like there is a threshold for skill. And that's why like Al Davis, I felt like the game passed him by a little bit because he was kind of going for of the physical attributes, but then the skill level wasn't like enough. That threshold for that skill level wasn't enough for those players to be successful. So like Laki Tassi, as much as he had the physical gifts, it's like, it's going to take time for him to actually realize, or even if he ever, I don't know if he ever realizes it. Cause like,
may never,
Cause how is he going to get better with experience, right? Reps. How is he going to get reps? If he's going to make, like, damn, it's going to be it's a tough road for him. But I thought, I to your point, I don't know, like, are you against Laki Tassi getting, I know we're kind of going off tangent, but like, were you against Tassi getting cut?
I don't feel they should have cut him. I mean, like I said, unless he was just doing something like egregious, because he doesn't count against the roster. So like you can literally keep him, continue to coach him up, and then they kind of put him in a tough situation where originally he's supposed to play on an interior defensive line, and then last year they switched him to offensive line, but then they stick him with Brendan Carroll, who's the worst offensive line coach in the league. So you got a guy that doesn't know anything about football. You're moving him positions, and then the position you move him to is the coach's son that doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. So it's like, so you didn't do him any favors. So I would have rather at least let him, stick and stay through all the training camp and continue to coach him up. And you know what? You just go hard through this whole training camp, and then you look up at the end of training camp, you see what progress he's made. If he still at that point hasn't made enough progress for you to justify having him around, then let him go. But at least let him get through. Like, I will let him get through training camp. Let him get through pads. This is what, like, a guy that's supposed to be a physical player, a physical specimen. You don't even let him get through the padded portion of practices yet. So I think they cut him prematurely. And for some bums, like, who's these generic ass players you picking up? Like, one of the receivers is like, you picked up another 5'8" receiver. Like, don't we got 3 of those on the roster already? Like, you need another one? Like, what? Like, what's this? This Chaz Watkins, whatever this dude is. Like, what do we need another one of these dudes for? So it just doesn't make any sense.
Someone in the chat mentioned that, like, players might, do physicals before training camp, and he might have failed it. Maybe that might have contributed to him getting cut possibly.
So they would have did physicals before OTAs. So they did physicals already before OTAs. Only thing that would have went down today would have been conditioning tests. But he got cut before that even happened. So he didn't even do a conditioning test. So I can see if, like, he got here and they did a conditioning test and he was out of shape. But, like, they would have had already cut him, in my opinion. So, but maybe Richards reported on the 23rd. So maybe he failed a conditioning test. That's a possibility.
Yeah. But we just went on a tangent about Laki Tassi getting cut. I thought it was like kind of like Raiders ruthless getting cut and you don't count against the roster. But the NFL is, man, not for long, man. That's what it stands for. But going back to the Vita conversation, right? I'm trying to see how it would make sense. Maybe if it's a 2-year deal, you know what I mean? It's not like a super long-term deal, but you give him a 2-year deal, but you give him the money. And it doesn't affect any type of negotiation and contracts with younger players that are on the roster that you're considering extending. Then I'm like, all right, cool. Maybe you can make it work. Now, my guy Huey says 2-year, $25 million. More like he's probably asking for at least $25 million a year.
That's $25 million a year because he's averaging like 8. I think his last contract was about 18 a year. So yeah, he's going to want like something like that. And
you got to keep in mind that D tackle market is going up because you mentioned some of the guys that got paid recently. Obviously, guys like Jalen Carter. Probably maybe add Aaron Donald to the situation because he's also having the same issue right now, according to Adam Schefter. He's trying to figure out the price of him coming back out of retirement. a guy that's been out of football for the last couple of years, but we all know who Aaron Donald is, one of the greatest defensive players of this era. So he's same situation, kind of figuring out that number. But yeah, like it has to be something that's, I agree, max 3rd round pick. Huey, I agree with that. Max 3rd round pick for me. Preferably 4th and maybe another later round pick, you know, but it's going to be tough just because I'm like, damn, you're going to have to pay for a 31-year-old and give up a premium pick. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do a 2nd round pick. I'm passing on that. But like a 3rd, I'm like, you know, because and the way I look at it is this. The reason why I can make sense of a 3rd, I'm like, all right, what does this move do to the team? What does it do for ultimately the guy that you're trying to build around and you're trying to make life easier for? Mendoza, right? It's the defense, right? Having a quarterback having a great defense puts less pressure on him to force the issue. He could just manage the game as he develops as a quarterback. So what does a guy like a Vita Vea's talent do for the Raiders? Bro, it's going to unlock the defensive line. Like we can now put now the ceiling a little bit gets even higher with Vita Vea on the defensive line. It makes everything easier for everybody on that defense. You think about, like, you could argue if Nakobe Dean stays healthy, Quay Walker continues his trajectory in his career, and then you have a D line, that's one of the best front sevens in the league now. You're talking about that. Like if possibly, potentially could be one of the best front sevens in the NFL. That's what a move like Vita Vea can do, and make a legit defense. Now there's a lot of moving parts. Rob Leonard on as a defensive coordinator, I get it. Our secondary is young, you know what I mean? Even though like we like some of the young pieces, they're still not established. They still haven't proven anything. So there's a lot of that going on. So I get that, but like, man, it would be nice to have a D line that gets to the quarterback. It would make life easier for everybody in the secondary. You know, I'm just saying. Especially on the end of the division when we got Patrick Mahomes, you got, you know, Herbert, and you got all the other quarterbacks in the AFC that you gotta, if you have playoff and Super Bowl aspirations that you got to get through. You kind of like have a one piece of the puzzle of having a D line to get to the quarterback. What Al Davis said, the quarterbacks must go down and must go down hard. What did he say today? It's true.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's what makes me think about it a little bit more. But I pass if it's a 2nd round pick or higher. I pass if he's asking for a longer than a 2-year deal. If it's like 3 to 4 years, I'm like, ugh. It got to be one of them situations where if it's a 3-year deal, then it might be 2-year in actuality type of situations.
But think about, like, why would he come here for that though? Like, you feel me? Like, because he's already got 1 year on this deal right now. So an extra year, okay. Plus, I mean, I guess there'll be a year. Plus, you add 8, so it'll be like a year and $33 million. That okay? So that's like you can add an extra year to his deal, and you add $33 million to his bank account potentially. But you know, like what happens after that? So I'm thinking that he's gonna probably want at least a 3-year deal. You know, maybe 4 with the team option after the 3rd. He's probably gonna want something like that. He'll probably want some guaranteed money up front. So, and what does Tampa Bay want for him in the trade? You know, like, are they going to be satisfied with the 3rd? But maybe, because he can kind of dictate, you know, where he goes, because I think he is in the last year of his deal. But how much are the Raiders willing to give up for a guy that's going to be 32 years old soon? He's had a history of injuries. I think he's been relatively healthy the past 3 years, I want to say. He's had like several injuries to the right side of his leg. I think he had some knee stuff going on. I want to say he had a fractured ankle super early in his career, if I'm not mistaken on that. Yeah. So he's had some injuries. You know, you get a guy that's 370 pounds, whatever he is, you know, that's got lower body injuries in the past. That's always a concern. And then he's not really a 3-down player. He's more of a 2-down player. So, you know, you paying that much, like, so then you start to look at, okay, how much are we paying per snap for a guy like this? Does he transform your team on 1st and 2nd down? Yeah. But now, you know, the thing that's changed so much about the NFL is that, you know, 3rd down is not as important as it used to be because teams are so often going for it on 4th down. So now like that's heightened the importance of 2nd down and keeping it like 2nd and long situations because now teams get to 3rd and shorts, 4th, they don't mind taking a 2 or 3 yard play to get them in 4th and manageable and then going for it on the 4th down. So like that kind of, in my opinion, that kind of dampens the value of guys that are just 2 downs because now the league is legit a 4 down league in a lot of areas rather. So, so then you got to look at that aspect of things. So, I mean, it's just a lot in my opinion. I just don't feel like he's a fantastic player. It's taking nothing away from Vita. And in terms of athleticism, when he was coming out of Washington, he was a freak athlete for his size, a freak athlete. So I don't want to take anything away from him as a player, but I just don't think it's a move that we're quite ready to make yet.
Yeah, I hear you. He is 31. I think he turned 31 in February this year. So he's 31 this year. So a little bit a year younger.
So a year younger. Okay, yeah. So he'll be
younger. But to your point though, like, man, for me, it just got to be the right deal. But realistically, let's talk about realistically because you kind of like you're segueing into it, the realistic scenario of it actually happening. I'm gonna segue into that. Realistically, is it gonna happen? Most likely not. And the reason why is his preferred destinations are the West Coast and the Raiders. So who are on the West Coast? Who are the competition for his services? You got the Chargers, you got the 49ers, and you got the Rams. So if for whatever reason the Rams right now, it's all in on 2026, all in. There could possibly be a situation, and I don't think it's gonna happen, but it'll be crazy. But it'd be a situation if they get Aaron Donald. I don't think that's gonna happen because that's too much money. But man, imagine Aaron Donald, Vita, Myles Garrett. I'm just saying, like, just think about that defensive line. That'd be crazy. But let's say if Aaron Donald's situation doesn't fall through, like the money, they couldn't agree on the contract. Without a hesitation, they'll try to make a move for a guy to be. And I think that'll be a perfect fit for him. I think he would want to go to LA and complete for a Super Bowl. Like, they're gonna want to make that happen. Then you got the Chargers. That's another team that, like, West Coast checks the box. Better technically, you could argue better situation. Win now, he's
technically.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. I don't want to give the Chargers any due credit. I don't want to give them credit. I mean, it is what it is. But they are a team that's pretty good in the division, right? But
and then you think about this. Look, with the Chargers, right? The Chargers have Tulio. I don't know, never mistake the guy's name. Tuliopo, whatever his name is, the outside rusher. Yeah. They got Khalil Mack. Yeah. And they just got Mesidor. Yeah. So you add him to that. Ooh. That's that's a little bit of a different dynamic right there for a team that's more prepared to win now. Like if we are in a position where we're in a win now situation, or our window was kind of open. Okay, cool, we do it. But bro, the windows is closed, the door is shut, it's locked. We got the blinds down. Like, bro, this is not the time for it. We're trying to see what we have in house before we even look out the window, right? So, like, we got young guys we just drafted a few years ago. What do we got? What do we get out of these guys? We got some guys we just drafted, late this year. We got some guys we brought up as UDFAs this year. Do we think they're going to be guys that are become starters in the league? The chances of that are very slim. But when you're in the situation that we're in, you want to see what you have, because there's still the possibility and the potential that you could have found a diamond in the rough. But if you immediately put a guy in front of him and pay him a lot of money, then that leaves you no incentive to want to figure out what you already have in house. So, like I said, I just don't think the situation we're in right now, it warrants us making a move like that.
Yeah, and for me also, I just think that the Raiders would be like, they wouldn't be at the top of his list. You know, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, my guy Raider Smoke says my boys were teammates of his in high school, and he was moving like a Derrick Henry at his size at tight end. Damn, it's crazy.
Yeah, he played running back. I think he ran for like 600 yards in one season or something crazy like that. Yeah, nah, he's a crazy athlete, bro. I remember when he was coming out, like that's why people were. I forgot it was another defensive tackle or another defensive player in that draft. I can't remember who it was, but they were talking about like who was the best defensive player in that draft or who was the best D tackle. I can't remember who it was, but he was like Vita he's a freak athlete. He's a freak athlete.
Yeah, and look, I'm trying to think of a scenario where it happened, but like I said, I feel like the Raiders would be like near the bottom of his list of trade destinations. I think the other teams would be more willing to be more aggressive too to landing him, just because of like where they're at as a team. Yeah. And I think the Raiders. So there's a lot of different things playing out here. Is the fact the Raiders, I think, have like a ceiling of what they would if they're willing to trade a second round pick. I don't think that's a smart move, but I'm just assuming that the Raiders are a whole different team. Spytek is moving like a smart GM. I don't think he gives up a second round pick for Vita. I know he came from that building. I know Brady won a Super Bowl with him. I know people in that building are familiar with Vita as a player. They're probably high on him, but I just don't think they give up a second round pick. Third round pick maybe is the highest I'll go, but just don't see it happen. And on top of that, if you had to rank his preferred destinations, I think the Raiders would probably be, because I think I seen somewhere where, correct me if I'm wrong, Smoke, since you're familiar with him, I think he was a 49er fan growing up. Might be wrong there. So maybe he's from the Bay Area. Either way, he's from the Bay Area. He'll be able to come back home and like play for a team that's, has some talent on the defensive side of the football too as well. So add him to the mix. So I think he probably would look at that as a plus for him. Obviously the Rams, the Chargers, and then you start thinking about, okay, maybe throwing the Raiders if they're willing to trade for him. But it's interesting to think about. I'm not gonna lie, it does make you think a little bit, but it's just, for me, it has to be the right situation. That's correct, right? He used to be 49er fan. All right, so I would think
he ain't gonna give us no love. And look, 49ers, I think the 49ers need some interior help, because I don't know if they kept old boy Hargrave they gave all that money to. I don't know if he's still there, and if he is still there, I think they would like to move off of him, because like he's not giving them the value that they anticipated on that contract. So
yeah,
I can't remember if they jettisoned him already, but if not, he's not living up to the money he's being paid. So if they can move him out of the way, bringing a guy like that, I think they would, that would be their preference.
Real quick before we move on to flag on a play, did you have any thoughts on what Kubiak had to say about McCoy? Obviously he made a comment about him, not playing football in over a year or a year at least. So but he's going to participate. Like, what did you take from those comments from him? Like, was it kind of like, all right, will he be in there in the mix to possibly start, or are they just going to be very, very kind of strategic in how they have him go out there and compete in training camp?
I feel like they're going to be strategic with it. I feel that's a situation where not only are they trying to, let everyone know that they're going to take a strategic approach to how they deploy him, whether that be in training camp or in preseason games or during the regular season. But I think it's also just to temper the expectations of the fan base. I know everybody sees, Jamal McCoy, hey, he's a top 10 talent in this draft, number one cornerback in this draft class, was in contention to be the top defensive player or one of the top defensive players taken in the draft, possibly CB1. I think Delane ended up being the first corner taken. I forgot what pick he went. So, and there were a lot of people that had Jamal McCoy ahead of Mansour Delane. So you see all of that, and you see we get him in the fourth round. You're like, okay, well, dang, we got a new toy. Let's put him out there. But as Kubiak was saying, he hasn't played football in a year, and he had a knee injury that potentially could have ended his career. Could have ended his football playing career. So you want to be very, very cautious with how you deploy him, how much you put on his plate, especially when he's just now getting back to football. And the football he's getting back to is NFL level football. The one good thing I will say is that if you look at NFL rules for practicing, as compared to college, like college, you are allowed to do way more. You're allowed to have way more practices. You're allowed to do way more at the collegiate level. You know, surprisingly, some people are surprised to hear this. You are at the NFL level. You have much more limitations put on you in terms of practice time, in terms of how much contact, in terms of how many padded practices you can have. You have much more restrictions in the NFL than you do at college. So that benefits him, but at the same time, you know, like it also could kind of hurt because you want to get him back into the swing of things. So, you know, it just remains to be seen what we're going to do with them or how we're going to use them. But I think at the end of the day, I think they're going to be as cautious as possible with him.
Yeah, we'll see. Because I do want him to be out there and compete, because I feel like he's also one of those guys like that makes you think like, man, if we can get a player of his talent to just get it going and figure it out and have him playing well in this defense, then it just adds to another layer to this team on that side of the football. But realistically, yeah, obviously they're going to probably kind of ease him into you know, playing at NFL speeds, playing in the NFL. I get it. But then, like, are they going to do this the entire year? That's my thing. Like what, like, I'm just trying to think, like, are they going to do this if they're going to do this the entire year, and then he's also at risk to possibly do surgery on his, you know, let's say on his knee, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it make sense to just like kind of get it over with and like, you get what I'm trying to say? Like, or is there a possibility where he doesn't have to have that procedure and they just are just going to ease him into playing in spots the entire year? That's the one thing that I have a question, and we don't really know like 100% like what the Raiders are actually kind of like, what the conversation are happening behind the scenes. Because the conversations of why he dropped all the way low is because there was a possibility that he has to do more, another procedure on his knee, which could possibly end his career or it could prolong it. It's just a risk.
Yeah.
Like, it's interesting to see how the Raiders are going about it. Like, are they going to let him then? So, because what's the point if they ease him back into football this whole year, just play him in spots, and then he's going to need surgery next offseason?
Yeah.
And then he misses entire year. Like, that's my thing. Is like, when you just want to get it out the way, or
yeah. I think the thing is, I think there's a possibility. I think there's a strong possibility that he doesn't need the surgery. And I think, like, if he ends up needing the surgery, that's where you heard about all the percentages. I can't remember exactly what the percentage was, but it's like something like 30% chance or something like that he doesn't, or he never plays again if he ends up needing that surgery. So that's why I think if he doesn't have to have the surgery, then they won't do it, because him having this surgery, that heightens the chance that he's never the same or he's never able to play again. So they wanted to avoid it at all costs. So if they can kind of ease him back into things and, you know, kind of build the strength back in that knee, and he doesn't need that surgery, then that is the best possible scenario for the team. Because if he ends up needing it, then that's when you get into that territory of, this is why he dropped to the 4th round, because he may never play again.
Yeah. Not a bot says, yeah, he can't go another year without playing or he'll never play again. Yeah, it's like 2 years removed from playing football. It's just like, it's a very competitive game, man. Even the talented players, like once they kind of miss like some time, like look at guys like we see it all the time, like especially in NFL. Like, it's just when you miss a prolonged amount of time, like it does take away from you. Like it's almost like you're playing behind. Like you're just playing behind. And I've seen just to give examples of guys like what's the wide receiver that came out the gate having like 200-yard games back to back for the Browns, wide receiver.
Oh, what you call it? Josh Gordon.
And he kept getting suspended and he kept missing a year, and then it just eventually he kind of like phased out. But like, man, for him to imagine if he just kept playing and just you know, do you think it would have played out differently if he didn't get suspended and, you know, was able to keep playing? Because him not playing in the NFL and getting suspended, I think probably had an effect in his career as far as like, you know, his ability to, you know, be productive. And then when he came back, he just never could be able to recapture, like, because I know he came back, I think he came back to the Browns, but he came back to like the Patriots. Didn't really do too much, and it just he just fell off after that. But I'm trying to think of another players. Deshaun Watson, on for a few. Deshaun Watson. People forget Deshaun was he's like
a top 5 quarterback.
Top 5 quarterback. He was a top 5 quarterback. He was a top 5 quarterback, but off-field stuff, him not being playing for a prolonged amount of time, boom, the rest is history. So I agree with you. Like I feel like the more a player doesn't play, that the longer it really just hurts him and his chance of having success. He can't go 2 years and make it back. That's too long. Play him as a rotational this year and reevaluate. And he wasn't injured. Okay. All right.
I mean, he's still playing. I mean, because Josh Gordon was just completely away from the game. So it'll be a different situation with Jeremiah. He'll still be around the game. He'll still be getting practice reps, probably still getting scout team stuff. Whether they play him in actual regular season games, I think that all depends on how the knee responds to this early little portions of training camp, like the little spots they throw him out there, the different drills and stuff they put him in, they expose him to. How does the knee respond? I'm sure they have the training staff on it, monitoring all of that stuff 24/7 to kind of see if there's any adverse effects. And if there's not, then, I think they bit by bit start, spoon feeding him a little more until he's either a full go or until, there's something in the knee that says, hey, you know what, we need to pull back a little bit. Maybe we start the process all the way over or start it midway over and kind of continue to build back up until he can be a full go. Or, maybe a situation where he's never a full go. Obviously, that's the worst case scenario. And from all the signs, even listening when we first drafted him here and all the doctors talk about it, like there's a very good chance that he's able to play again. But, there's also the chance remained that he would never play. And, I think that's what scared a lot of teams off from investing higher draft capital in him.
Yeah. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll see what happens. But real quick, I think we had this conversation, or I brought this up to you before, but who is your opening day starter opposite of Stokes?
Yeah, this all depends on Jemima McCoy. If Jemima McCoy is healthy, you almost have to go with him. But I'm taking the safe route. I'm going Hezekiah Massis.
Wow, Hezekiah Massis is the safe route.
Yeah, Hezekiah Massis. Yeah. It's a safe route, man. That's a safe route.
Man, hopefully Darian Porter ain't watching this, man.
Darian Porter is not. Darian Porter is. Yeah, there's a very good chance Darian Porter is the Dante Thornton of cornerbacks.
Oh man, that's wild, man. That is wow. I'm not out on Darian Porter. I'm gonna give him a chance.
I'm not out on him.
But
but
he's not Dante Thornton. He's not Dante.
Well, we can't. I have more faith in him becoming a good NFL player than I do in Dante Thornton becoming a good.
Because we've seen in spots, we've seen him like hold his own. In comparison to Dante Thornton.
Yeah, in comparison to Dante Thornton. That's why I said I have more faith in him being a good NFL player than doing Dante Thornton. But you think about it's like Darren Porter like 26 years old, bro. It's like they were like 26 years old, bro. He played a year cornerback. Like, she gonna all of a sudden transform into like I don't see that happening. Can he be like an NFL caliber player? Sure. But like, do I expect him to turn into like a starting NFL corner? That's not my expectation.
So if McCoy is healthy and ready to go, he's a starter on opposite Stokes. If not, you got Massis.
Yeah. And depending on what approach they want to take. Even if he's healthy and ready to go, if they want to be like, we don't want to throw too much of a Jamad too early, then they start off with Hezekiah. And if, throughout the year, they start to see positive signs from McCoy, I can see him eventually taking over that spot. But I think, right now, and just from what they've done in camp, what I saw from Hezekiah in college as well, like I like him as a player, as a prospect. I think he's a damn good corner, and I think he has like the requisite skill set to have success in the NFL.
Darian Porter and Hezekiah Mize is a definition of system fits. and Darian Porter was drafted for, Pete Carroll defense.
Yeah.
I mean, why are we drafting players for like a 70-year-old man? You know what I mean? Like that's a whole different conversation. But then if you think about it, like Hezekiah Massis, I think he fits in with this kind of like probably zone heavy scheme that they're probably going to run.
Yeah.
And then they're going to probably put pretty a heavy emphasis on like try to attack the ball, force some turnovers. Yeah. Massis probably give you a little bit more upside in that regard. So it might be a situation where Massis might fit the system better than Porter. That's probably what it is.
I think Porter can fit. Having the instincts at the position, because he played wide. So one thing about Porter is that he played wide receiver for such a long time, so he's going to have good ball skills. But it's having the instincts, like how to bait quarterbacks, how to sit in how to read the quarterback's eyes, like how to all that stuff. That's like there's nuances to that position that he never needed to know before, and it's hard to learn all that stuff in just a year and some change. What am I guys supposed to say?
He said, "I hope Porter's not watching this." Repeating what I said, but because I'm just saying, bro. Look. Well, that's gonna be interesting competition, though. I'm not gonna lie. Porter, Massis, and McCoy. Obviously, McCoy could be like the upside is crazy with McCoy. Young guy like him with his type of talent, but it's just a matter of like, all right, how much is he gonna play early on? We've talked about it all offseason. Like, is he gonna play a lot this season? Are they gonna play him in spots? But if they feel confident enough for him to be the opening day one starter, that's a really good sign on his on how they feel about his health and so on and so forth. But zone heavy ruins McCoy's talent.
Yeah, I mean, you don't allow him to be a man. I mean, but you can still, like, we say zone heavy, but anybody that's played football, and I'm sure not about it, probably has at some point. At some point, zone becomes man. At some point, zone becomes man. So at some point, you're going to be sticking a guy one-on-one. But what's crazy is that the corner that would have fit this scheme perfectly would have been like a perfect fit for this scheme. Will Johnson would have been when I say perfect fit for this scheme, bro, he would have fit this scheme perfectly. Like he's a guy that could play man, but like he did some of his best work in zone. He was a guy that was adept at taking the ball away. Not only did he take the ball away, but he's putting points on the board. Like he's a guy that would have been perfect for this scheme. And we got an opportunity to take him in the second round. And what we do? We traded back. And then somebody got him. And then the Cardinals took him in front of us, and then we traded back again and took a tight end. I mean,
Raiders are this version of the Raiders, meaning with Spytek and company in his building. They're pretty conservative when they get to the second round. Like it's kind of obvious. Like they're going for guys that they feel like, okay, at the very least you could do this. At the very least you can do this. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or they're not gonna. I don't think they take too much risk. They like to take risk starting, maybe you could argue maybe in the third round, but the fourth round is where they like the McCoys, where everybody's scared to like touch him, or Dante Thornton, a guy that was like, we had him like in the sixth round. We were drafting mock drafts, but we all know mock drafts don't matter in the NFL. Like they got their own big boards at the end of the day. Like this last draft was crazy though. I think that was probably the craziest in terms of like seeing players get drafted in places where like, what? Blocking tight ends are getting drafted in the second round, like third round. Did the tight end from Stanford even sign his deal? I think he was one of the dudes that was holding out.
Roush? I don't know. I've ever since our dude people sign, I ain't give a damn about nobody sign. I'm cool.
Yeah. But Trent, like we said, training camp is underway. We obviously will be here to talk about it as soon as we get news of like what happens in training camp, the updates. So shout out to the beat writers that are there on the ground, kind of letting us know exactly what's going on. And well, obviously anything that we hear from the camp, we'll be here to talk about it, and we'll continue the conversation. But it's that time. You already know what time it is.
Personal foul. 69, offense. He was giving them the business.
Flag on the play. And this week, man, we got some good ones, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like, and a couple of them are Raider related, which is, I don't know, it's not a good thing. But it also kind of it connects back to the team. So we keep it Raiders over here. So we try our best to keep it within the Raiders. But obviously, if it's something that we have a problem with, we're gonna talk about it. And we got some honorable mentions too, as well. Yeah. But we couldn't include everything. But shout out to my guy, Chill Ray, who tagged us and was able to let us know about this flag on a play severe. If you want to get an intro to this one.
Yeah, man, Antonio Brown has foot and mouth syndrome, and he continues to say stuff that's just ridiculous. It's like provably false. He's making provably false statements on a consistent basis, man. So he was talking about his time with the Raiders and that, you know, he was willing to sacrifice $30 million, even though he loved Mark Davis and he loved the Raiders. He was willing to sacrifice that $30 million so we can go play with Tom Brady, because he had enough money. Apparently, he had enough money.
Yeah, man, hold on.
Yeah, so, and I think he's made this statement before, and we'll listen to what he has to say, because what he's saying now, this is revisionist history, and that's what people often try to do, is they try to put a spin on things that's happened in the past, because the people don't, as distance separates an event and the present, the details start to get foggy and people forget the things that actually happened in those situations. So then you can come, and if you speak with enough authority and you put a nice spin on it and you say something with confidence, people will believe what you're saying. And that's essentially what Antonio Brown is doing now, because his actions at the time and then his actions subsequently after his release, and then some of the years following the release, they tell a different story than what he's saying right now.
So let me know if you hear the audio. If not, we'll play just the audio itself. But I'm gonna go ahead and play a clip from his podcast, or I think on somebody's podcast.
So I go to Oakland, man. I get a big deal. Mark Davis. I love Mark Davis. I love John Gruden.
Y'all hear it?
Yeah.
Passionate. We got the best offense, whatever. But in my mind, as a player, you just thinking like, yo, I want to be a champion. I done really done everything from making the money. I done really had like $80 million in contracts just with the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's like,
it's time to be a winner now.
I already got 40 in the tuck. I just want to do something legendary, like just be a champion. So I call Mark Davis, as a smart man I am, because, I'm a good guy. I could have just said, yo, my back hurt, and just got the $30 million. We played Denver on Monday night, the contract guaranteed. Once you play the first game as a vet, I could have got the 30 to 15 million. I said, no, I'm going to do what's right. Mark Davis went out a limo, stood up on the limb for me when I was walking off from Steelers, and I told him I need 30 million guaranteed right here in my living room, and he did it. So as an honorable man, I told him, like, yo, I don't want to be a Raider. Save him his money. And I got a chance to play with Tom Brady at the Patriots.
But they weren't hearing that, though. They weren't just going to let you go, though.
No, he did. He let me go right away.
They just let you go.
Of course, it saved him money. If I get on roster the first opening day of the game, he owed me $30 million.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's definitely crazy, man. Like,
yeah,
because no one
definitely crazy.
No one believes you. No one believes that. Like, come on, bro. Flag on the play. Like, no one believes that story. He probably came up with that after the fact to just make it all nice, and he can sit down in podcasts and have like a civil conversation and make it seem like he's a stand-up guy. But if you're a stand-up guy, why would you even want to be traded to the Raiders? Why did you want to, like, why did you even go about it that way? Like, it was just the way he went about it, spoke about his character, and for him to come and explain the whole situation and try to make it seem like he's a stand-up guy and high character dude. He spoke to the owner and like he didn't want to take his 30 million. Get out of here, bro. Come on, bro. Like what? Since when do players like really say no to 30 million? I don't think anybody's gonna be saying no to 30 million. Like he just made a terrible mistake. And in the midst of him thinking that he was outsmarting the Raiders, and how basically he wanted to get out of Pittsburgh. He really wanted to go to the Patriots. That didn't happen. Got to the Raiders. He tried to make it seem like, you know, he was all in on that team, but he really wasn't. He did everything he can to get out of that team, but he miscalculated a little bit because he lost out on 30 million. So I think he's just trying to control the narrative and get ahead of it as far as, you know, damage control, because they're going to bring this up to him all the time. Like, man, you meant 30 million. Like, can you explain that whole situation? I don't know how the question was originally asked, but we just heard him speak about it in his podcast. But man, I'm not believing none of this. This is, bro, flag on a play on Antonio Brown. Yeah. One of the worst situation, I would say, as a Raider fan that I've seen from a dysfunctional part. Like, it was so crazy. Everything that was just happening, like from him freezing his foot, from the icing on the cake was, you know, him going back and forth with Mike Mayock was wild, severe. But the icing on the cake was when he had Gruden on it. Bro, I was like, it was so like, man, yo, bro. You could tell that John Gruden, man, like he was like, please, like he was begging him. He was like,
bro.
He was begging.
He was emasculating himself just on the phone, just bro. Just it was disgusting, bro. It was like, come on, man. I know you could be. It was like, come on, John, bro. Well, get off your knees, John. Get off your knees, man. Man, bro, get off your knees, John. Yeah, man. He straight up. but the thing that first of all, you know, he lying because it's like it just takes it out. Like, I'm not even gonna get into the like nail in the coffin why I know he's lying. I'm just gonna get into like his critical thinking of all the stuff he did to try to force his release. Right. At first, it was he came in the hot air balloon, which is antic stuff, but then he froze his feet. Right. And then it was the helmet issue. People always forget about that. Remember, he didn't want to play because of the helmet, and the league had banned his helmet, and he wasn't going to play without his helmet. So it was that whole issue. And then obviously it was the Mike Mayock stuff, and then it was the John Gruden phone call. Then he finally got his release. But then, while you know he's lying, because I don't remember exactly what he did. I want to say he I don't remember if he sued or if he filed a grievance with the Players Association to get his money. So he was like, oh man, I didn't care about the money. I gave the money up. He filed a grievance trying to get the money that he said the Raiders owed him, and he ended up losing. So he wanted the money. That's how you know he's lying, because if he didn't want the money, if it wasn't about the money, he would have never came back after the fact, after he got released, after he went to the Patriots, forced his way off of that team, and then went to the Bucs and won the Super Bowl with Tom Brady. He tried to get the 30 million. Like, bro, you're so clearly it was about the money. So, like, bro, you can't rewrite history, man. Like, it's it's all in black and white. The internet is a thing. It's you know, like nothing ever leaves the internet. Anybody can look it up and see he tried to recoup the money that was owed to him, and he ended up losing the grievance.
Yeah, it's insane, man. I can never, like, I was actually surprised to see this clip. I don't know why I was surprised, because it was like, because, you know, Antonio Brown's personality has always been like, I don't care. I'll do what I want. I'll say what I want. So for him to come out and say this, made me think about it a little bit. I actually thought about it. I was like, man, like, did he really like go back? But then I was just thinking about like, how did you, like, how would I even believe this when you did everything that prior to this to embarrass the Raiders? Like, he did not care. Like, and you know, shout out to Chill Ray. He mentioned some of the things, like, you know, about the helmets and the freezing his feet. The helmet situation was crazy.
Yeah, the helmet.
Like he was not going to play because of his helmet not being available.
Exactly.
And it was just one thing after another. And obviously eventually he gets cut and he loses out on 30 million, but he gets his wish, becomes a free agent, which guess what? He goes to a team that the Pittsburgh Steelers weren't willing to trade with, the Patriots, goes with his boy Tom Brady. But guess what? That situation was short-lived. He ended up getting cut because some situation happened.
He was trashing Robert Kraft, bro. He was bringing up Robert Kraft at the massage parlors. He was trashing Robert Kraft, bro.
Like, yeah, and especially Antonio Brown at that time. Maybe he's calmed down since, but at that time, like he's a wild man. And as each day went by, like the respect level of of the head coach for the Steelers, man, Mike Tomlin, went up every day. I'm like, man, how did he have this guy in the locker room? And we did have no idea whatsoever. But flag on a play on everybody that's associated with this podcast, bro, that sat there just nodding their head like, oh, for real? Oh man, you an upstanding guy. Like it, Tyreek Hill over there just nodding his head like, and Tyreek Hill, he got a big ego. Like I didn't know until like, his time with the Dolphins kind of like revealed himself. Remember after like, I guess, didn't he do something after the season ended? I don't know if they made the playoffs or they missed the playoffs, and he just quit. He made a statement saying that he wanted to leave the team or whatever, and then he ended up coming back the following year. Tyreek Hill, remember he said something? Yeah. So he's kind of like. He was putting out cryptic messages, basically saying he wanted to leave. Yeah. He doesn't have Antonio Brown syndrome, but he's like he just has like some small symptoms of big D. Like Devontae Adams has symptoms of being a diva too. Yeah. Same, like it is what it is, man. All these wide receivers, man. And Tyreek Hill just agreeing with them is just don't be talking about Devontae. East Palo Alto is in the chat, man. Oh yeah, Red Smoke, man. My Smoke he says my barber was cutting for the Raiders at the time, and this dude was always with cameras everywhere he went. Was on his own. This dude's delusional, yeah, man. It comes, he's one of the biggest divas of all time, man. You put him up there with the Randy Mosses and the Terrell Owens, as great a talent as they were, man. For whatever reason, like those guys, like receivers, they're divas. They just got that. Would you say Jerry Rice was a diva? Some people said he was. I don't remember the stuff, but I heard he was though. Man, he was a great player though. But he's great. The greatest football player of all time, in my opinion. Him and Lawrence Taylor are the two. Lawrence Taylor, I can't get mad at that. I mean, they dominated their position like no other. Like to this day, like Rice still has records that's, you could argue probably never get touched. But yeah, you think about it, like a lot of the way the NFL is going, you would think like passing league, it's making it easier for guys to get like the numbers. But like just thinking about it, like, damn, Rice was doing that back then, dominating like that and getting the easy, like, whoo. Yeah. Crazy. And then, man, LT, he won MVP as a defensive player. Like, that's never going to happen again. Never going to happen again. Nah. Hey, man, there ain't nothing against Devontae, but I just didn't like how it ended. I was just like, what? Like, it was just a random way to end his time with the Raiders. Yeah. Because it was almost like he was insulting our intelligence a little bit. Like, when he went on to that podcast, do you think he froze? Like, did he think it through? When he went on was it Up and Up with Adams, Up and Away with Adams or whatever the show. Oh yeah, Up with Kate Adams, whatever. Yeah, Kate Adams. He was doing a weekly appearance. I'm not sure if he still does it, but if Raider fans still remember, like prior to the podcast or maybe right after podcast, we all found out like he literally went up to Antonio Pierce after a win, went to the office and requested a trade. Yeah. And then came the next day, was like, I don't know where this noise is coming from. Like, where is it coming? Bro, disgusting. Man, and I don't have no problem with players like going to other teams, signing with other teams. It's a business, getting traded. it was just like, what? Like, what? Did he not? He thought he was a smooth criminal. When
It was like, oh man, that was crazy. And he had the Aaron Rodgers, and it was like, oh bro.
Yeah, but flag on a play on Antonio Brown. He will always be a flag on a play for Raider fans and Raider Nation, and how he handled the whole entire situation. I thought it was most dysfunctional situation with the Raiders.
Hey, Steam T, that's all you, brother. That's all you, brother.
What happened?
He's a K Adams is hot. That's all you, brother. You can have that, brother. You know, I need
It is what it is. But now we're not done yet. You got another flag on the play. This one is actually pretty ruthless, to be honest.
Yeah, this one pretty ruthless, man. We all know, former, ironically, current Steelers defensive coordinator, kind of ties some of the stories together. Current Steelers defensive coordinator, former Raiders defensive coordinator, Patrick Graham. He's been in the search for he was in search of a head coaching job for quite some time, and he was able to get an interview or secure himself an interview with the Jacksonville Jaguars regarding their head coaching gig. And he had an interview, and they were supposed to all meet, after the fact at a local Jacksonville steakhouse. And the events that transpired subsequently, some of the coldest things you'll ever see. So while he was at the restaurant, reservations, I want to say it's supposed to be 5. It's Patrick Graham, supposed to be 5 other people meeting there. Mm-hmm. People never showed up. And while Patrick Graham waited there, I think for almost an hour, the Jacksonville brass were actually, basically consummating the head coaching hire of Liam Cohen, who had recently, or like previously, I think, pulled himself out of the running for that head coaching job. And that's why the team was basically on the precipice of moving forward with Patrick Graham. Liam Cohen decided to take the job, and they left Patrick Graham hanging viciously.
Yeah, that's crazy. They literally invited him to dinner at a Jacksonville steakhouse, and it was supposed to be a whole sit down with the owner and executives, and the whole every top person with the team Jaguars, and he was literally sitting there like he was stood up for 5 hours, or was it 5 hours? I believe it was.
No, I don't know if it's 5 hours. 5 hours crazy. It was like hours.
It'd be crazy for Patrick Graham.
Yeah, you telling AB stories, man. He was waiting for 5 hours.
That'd be sad. That'd be kind of sad. That is kind of sad.
That'd be sad on Patrick, bro. If he wait for 5 hours, that's on. Like, what is the Jaguars at fault? Yeah, but Patrick, if you sitting there waiting for 5 hours, bro, I got no respect for you.
It was 30 minutes. 30 minutes. They let him wait 30 minutes alone, and as time went on, like basically what they were doing at the same time while he was waiting was we're basically meeting with Liam Cohen and finalizing a deal for head coach, which is, NFL, man, ruthless. It's ruthless, man. Flag on a play on the Jaguars and how they handled the situation. I'm not sure if this is the norm with the NFL. I mean, it is a tough business. I'm sure, coaches are interviewing and trying to get it. There's only 32 jobs at the end of the day, so it's a tough situation for him to be in that. Like I don't remember in recent history hearing like a coach being just
stood up like that.
They stood up like 30 minutes while the other team is negotiating. Like the way they handled it was kind of crazy. I don't know if that's the norm. If it is, damn, that's flag on a play on the NFL and how they handle coaching hires and stuff like that. But
yeah, and I think this story, I think how the story came to light is I think this is being referenced in the lawsuit that Brian Flores has against the league, I believe. So, and just regarding the Rooney rule. So, apparently it's not a common practice because he's in a lawsuit for a reason.
If he stayed there for 5 hours, it wouldn't be flag on playing the Jaguars. It'd been flag.
It'd be on him.
5 hours.
Oh, dog.
What are you doing?
Sure. Hey, bro,
what are you doing with your life? What are you like? What's going on in your mentals, bro? To stay somewhere for 5 hours, have some respect for yourself and leave.
Yeah, bro.
But 30 minutes is disgusting. That's wild, man. Definitely cold.
Because the people at the restaurant be like, he's still here. He's like, wait,
not for real.
What is he?
Not for real. Do you think people at the restaurant would have any idea? Like, I feel like we're tapped in. Everybody that's watching that's tapped in. But if you go into like, you know, civilian places, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
people who don't watch the NFL or pay attention to, because there's certain people that we can point out just because we're familiar with the game, the sport, like, and the same goes for like anything that we're not familiar with. Like, you're like, oh, this singer here, whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? You're not going to be aware of every artist out there, right? So I wonder if they're able to recognize coaches like that. I don't know if anybody would recognize that.
I don't know, because he's a defensive coordinator for like a obscure ass team on the East Coast. Like, nobody give a damn about the Raiders in Jacksonville, bro. So they probably don't know who he is. But I don't know if the Jacksonville, like, if they used that restaurant, used it in the past. So maybe he said, hey, you know what? My name is Patrick Graham. I'm here to meet with such and such and such, and they sat him down at a table that was reserved. Maybe at that point, even then though, after a certain amount of time, they're like, oh, look, it's still here. Like, what's going?
I'm telling you, bro. It's not even just Patrick Graham. It's like, I don't think people would recognize Andy Reid.
I think they recognize Andy Reid. They recognize Andy Reid because, like, he's in the Allstate commercials. I think they recognize Andy Reid. But like, if it was, and like John Gruden was in commercials,
everybody that's watching us would recognize him. But like, the average person that like it's too much to ask, bro. Because I'm just saying.
I think Andy Reid is different because he's such a unique looking person. Like, it's hard. Andy Reid, I think.
Kyle Shanahan.
But no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely, they wouldn't know Kyle Shanahan. Like, cause bro, like I've seen Jim Harbaugh like a few times in person at different events, and you would never think like he's like the only reason I recognize him because he had on the Chargers hat. He's like some regular ass white guy. Like, who's this old ass white dude over here? Oh, it's Jim, it's the Chargers hat and the khakis. Harbaugh. But like, if I was just some normal person, I'm like, who's this old white dude? Like, bro, like, it's just he looks hella regular. Sean McVay, they know Sean McVay. He just looks strange. Like, they may not know he's a football coach, but they're like, this dude is something. He's a motivational speaker. He does something. He does something. Kyle Shanahan, hell nah. Todd Bowles, nobody would know it. This is an old black guy. Todd Bowles is like some old ass black man. He's like, Todd Bowles look like he's a pastor at a church.
You can name all the coaches in the NFL. I'm telling you, I don't think people would recognize him. I think we would recognize him. I think, like I said, I think the people that watch the show would recognize him. I think NFL fans that are tapped in would recognize a lot of people in the NFL in terms of players and coaches because they follow the game. But like, the average person, I'm telling you, they would have no idea. No idea. Especially the NFL, because it's not really about the face of it's not about the person in the NFL. It's really about like the teams, and like, if it was NBA is a lot different where they market the stars a lot, you know, maybe that'd be a little bit, but I'm just telling you, like, the average person would not. NFL coaches?
Nah.
Bro.
I think Andy Reid, that's what I said. Andy Reid, I think Sean McVay, maybe. I think those are the two. I think everybody else.
Hey, man.
Everybody else, you pick them out of a hat, bro. They would never.
Hey, shout out to the night crew in the building. Appreciate y'all pulling up. Make sure to clack and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Hey, let us know. Would y'all be? Do you guys think that the average person would be able to recognize a NFL head coach? Let us know, man.
Most of them know. 99. Like I said, only two I think is McVay and Andy Reid. And less so on McVay, but for sure Andy Reid.
John Gruden. I get John Gruden.
John Gruden, but he's not a coach. So
but John Gruden, I can make an argument like, I don't think the average person like they wouldn't even know, because they don't. My point is that they don't even watch it enough where they could recognize like we.
But that's why I say, 'cause Andy Reid been in those commercials. He was in those State Farm, not Allstate, State Farm commercials. He's one of the State Farm commercials. That's why I think they know him.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think so, bro. Like because it's just not. It's not in there.
No. I think coaches, period, though.
People talking about the accident with, that was crazy. That's crazy because it happened like 2 weeks ago too, and it was just people just recently.
Damn, Shanahan threw his wife under the bus. It's like,
did he throw his wife under the bus?
He said the coach has. He said Shanahan said it was his wife's fault. Distracted driving almost made him one eye with it. Oh man.
Nah, I think he came out and said that like he was at fault, like it was his fault, like he dropped his phone and like it happened. Like,
oh, it's his fault. I thought he said it was his wife. I'm tripping. Okay, yeah, it's his fault. Okay.
He came out and said it to like he announced it to like the media.
Oh, I thought for some reason I thought he said it was his wife's fault. I was like, damn, I threw his wife under the bus like that.
Yeah, not his wife's fault. I didn't see that, but that'd be crazy.
No, he said it was his fault.
Yeah, no, I get you. But I feel like we're talking from a place of like, oh, we recognize him. We would recognize him so easy. And we know that he's like, he's a big, like, you know, Gruden is a big character in football. Like he's been around for so long. So we feel like he'd be recognizable to anybody. But like, if you just put yourself outside of yourself and think about like the average person, man, I'm telling you, they don't, man, you remember that clip? Remember that clip they had where I think it was the Titans social media team, and they were going to regular people on the street and they were showing them NFL logos and asking them, what team is this?
Yeah, true.
And they I don't know if they were embarrassed to say to not know. And they were just saying, oh, this is the, like for example, the Jacksonville, Cheetahs, you know what I mean? They were just saying random like
some of the craziest things you've ever seen in your life.
That is the average person. They're not gonna know like the head coaches for sure.
Actually, but it's two things. Because first thing is I never want to underestimate how stupid people are because so many people are so stupid. Like that's one thing I don't want to estimate how stupid people are. But at the same time, though, like when they're doing those things, a lot of times it takes them like a long time to find people that are that dumb. Like they'll have a bunch of people that do it that say it right, and they'll just edit it out later and like just keep in all the funny ones. So it's a mixed bag. But yeah, people do be dumb though. People do be dumb. Like because I think Steam T said if they put up like baseball managers, I couldn't name any of them. I couldn't name a single baseball manager besides the one for the Dodgers, and I'd recognize him, but I don't remember his name.
Damn.
And he's a UCLA guy too, which is crazy.
You put me up there. I'm still, for me, Dusty Baker. Just remember.
That's exactly right. That's like the only person I would know is Dusty Baker.
Dusty Baker. This is man. Man, I'm trying to take it. I'm gonna be old school with some of the managers with the baseball
like
managers.
Joe Torre. I know some of the older ones, like Joe Torre and stuff like that.
Joe Torre was the manager for the
Dave something. What's the Dodgers? It's Dave something. That was what we got his name.
Yeah. Nah. See, we over this. Look. I'm telling. Look, you're not fully tapped in with
Dave
baseball.
Roberts. There you go.
You're not fully tapped in with baseball like that. Like you're more casual with it. But if someone was walking down the street, you wouldn't even like look like you just like regular dude.
I'm not even casual with it, bro. I'm not even casual with baseball. Like
Bob Melvin. Yeah. Okay. There you go. No. Who was the guy? Hey, Smoke. Who was the guy before him? When the team was with the teams with not the teams with like Eric Chavez and Miguel Tejada and like the three aces. Who was the manager? It was something. Oh man, I'm trying to remember the manager's name. Tommy Lasorda. That's a good one. Yeah.
Tommy Lasorda. Everybody knows Tommy Lasorda.
Smoke, you for sure know this one. Art Howe? Was it Art Howe? You just made that shit up.
It sounds like a fake name.
Art Howe.
Yeah, Art sounds like he sounds like a baseball coach. Art. His name's Art.
Hey, but we're not. Hey, look, that was pretty much our flags on play. We got some honorable mentions, things that happened around the league. Like, man, crazy situation with offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah,
so random. I had to look at it twice. I'm like, what? This really just happened? Like his son apparently, shot his wife, which is his mom. Basically, he shot his mom.
Yeah, shot his
she was
mom.
in serious condition, stable condition now, but it was serious. Earl Weaver.
See, that sounds like fake names. See, now I don't trust any of these names anymore. I don't trust any of these names. I know Tommy Lasorda. That one I know is real.
Hey, Smoke, you might be right. Hold up. I gotta look this up. I'll look it up in a second.
Earl Weaver, come on, dog. Earl Weaver, that sounds fake.
Al Davis drafted Art Howe. See, I can.
That sounds like some stuff Al Davis would do.
Hold on, let me see. A's manager.
Look up Earl. I'm gonna look up Earl Weaver. Yeah, I don't trust this. See, I know that. I knew they had to be fake. Earl Weaver sounded fake. I know. He's talking about just a joke. Al Davis.
Oh, Miguel Tejada manages a baseball team in the Mexican League. Oh, I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Miguel Tejada. Okay. He ain't from Mexico, is he?
I think he's from Dominican Republic. Right? Or is he Cuban?
Yeah.
Or is he Cuban? He might be Cuban.
He might be Cuban. I think he's Cuban. Yeah. Miguel Tejada was nice. I remember Miguel Tejada. He was a dog.
A's manager Miguel Tejada.
I think he's Dominican.
Bro, you're right. My bad, Smoke. You're right. That's what I said. You might have. Art Howe was actually. Oh, Ken Maka. Yeah, the Ken Maka. Okay, hold on. Am I right? Art Howe left the A's after the 2002 season, and then it was Ken.
Tony Russo, I know. He's with the Cards, if I'm not mistaken.
Was it Ken? Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna look this up. This is actually, damn, I really forgot about a lot of these guys. But Al Davis drafted Art Howe, which it sounded like he did though. I think Shanahan was on the phone. If it was a DUI, it would have been released. He said he dropped his phone. That's what he said. He's at fault. He dropped his phone and in 2 seconds, like his car just veered left or right or whatever, and just.
You got to be the most uncoordinated motherfucker on the planet to drop your phone and almost die.
Billy Martin. Okay.
Billy Martin that sounds familiar.
Sounds familiar? Okay, that's for me. It doesn't. I'm just gonna.
Billy Martin sounds familiar.
I'm just gonna let it go. But yeah, no, we have some honorable mentions for Flag on a Play, man, and obviously around the league. Well, I actually wanted to talk about. We went on a tangent a little bit, but we were talking about Eric Bieniemy and that whole situation. It was pretty crazy in terms of like what happened. Like his son shot his own mother, which is Eric Bieniemy's wife, and she was in obviously serious condition. She's now in a stable condition. According to Andy Reid, he's saying that there is no timetable for Eric Bieniemy to come back, obviously for obvious reasons. His son is being charged by authorities out there.
I hope so.
Yeah, you would hope, right? So definitely Flag on a place. We put an honorable mention just because like it's very kind of like tough situation to talk about.
Yeah.
But one thing that like when I seen it and Severe made a comment like that was kind of true, man. Like you seen it, like you weren't surprised. Well,
bro.
I'm just gonna pull up this picture here. This picture of Eric Bieniemy's son, which you knew there's something wrong going on.
Yeah, like if only there was a sign that if something's wrong with him.
Yeah,
it's like I saw the mugshot, like, oh damn.
Yeah. So here goes Eric Bieniemy's son, like.
Yeah, it's like come on, bro. Yeah,
like man. Yeah. I don't even know. Like when I seen this, I was like, yeah. Were you surprised? Like when you seen it, you weren't surprised?
When I saw it, I was surprised, and I was like, oh, okay. It's like
this person is not.
It's like I was surprised he looked like that, but then I was like, okay, now I see why he out here shooting his own.
Yeah, because it's kind of because we what did we hear about Eric Bieniemy? Like he's like a tough coach, like
yeah,
a really tough coach. So to see like this is his son, it's like damn, like maybe I don't know. I don't want to jump into conclusions as far as like if he was in his life or not or that type of stuff. But
yeah, I mean, I think he was living with him though, right? Isn't he living with him?
But when I see the tattoo in the face and just
bro,
I was looking at it, I was like, damn, like.
Yeah, because they have to be living. Because I mean, Eric Bieniemy probably lived in because when he worked for the Commanders as OC, I would assume he probably had a house like in the DMV. So like probably had a home in Virginia. So that's probably why they're living there. That would be my assumption. So I don't know, man. It's crazy. It's a crazy situation, man. But yeah, dude, like mental health, man. Mental health is crazy. It's wild.
Yeah, but not about. It's not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where she was shot. He shot his own mom.
Yeah, that's what's crazy, man. Yeah, she not dying. She's not dying, but still though, man. Like still, somebody shoot their mom. Like that's crazy.
Like where are we at? Like what type of person does that? That's all I gotta say. I just like damn. Like the enemy gotta be like, man. It's there's so many layers to this, but.
Yeah, man.
But it doesn't really matter where she was shot. If she ain't not like it doesn't matter. As soon as you heard, like put it this way. If you heard that, hey, God forbid, knock on wood, if you heard your mom was shot, would you be? As soon as you heard your mom was shot, you gone. Like you run into wherever she at, like make sure she good. You're not thinking about where she. Oh,
exactly. It's like hey, Severe, your mom got shot. Oh, where did she get shot? It's like
what?
Like she be all right. She should be all right.
Oh, she got shot on.
Like, nah, man.
I'll see you when I see you.
Exactly. Tell our visitor tonight.
Come on, man. But yeah, flag on her playing that whole situation. The son.
Yeah, man.
I think there might be some mental health issues for sure. Like, has to be. Like,
you think? You think?
It gotta be. It gotta be. It's something. Something's going on. Like, there's no reason why. Like you should go from 0 to like I'm just gonna shoot you, mom.
Exactly.
There's no. Come on, man. It doesn't make any sense. But we're not trying to make light of the situation, man. We just got a sense of humor. So if you guys can't laugh, it is what it is. But another honorable mention was CJ Stroud, man. So CJ Stroud, so all these teams, all these social media teams for these teams, they're all like showing players coming, clocking in, coming into training camp. And CJ Stroud had an entrance that will be unforgettable.
Oh man. This man, my dog was it's like he got
man, he looked like a 5th grader, bro.
He looked like he walking in PE, bro. Like
walking in PE.
He walking in PE. And his mama bought him PE shoes that was too small.
He looked like a big ass kid, bro.
His mom bought him PE shoes that was too small, bro. But his feet is hurting. It's like when you gotta walk with your toes curled up because the shoes too small.
So would you?
All I'm gonna say is that like, no matter, depending on what happens this year, no matter what, they're gonna go back to this.
So would you?
Oh yeah, bro. Like I said, bro, he either about to have the greatest season of his career, bro, or like I said, they're gonna look at this moment and be like, this is when it was all over.
So would you?
He looks like this. I compare this. I put this. His walk to training camp is up there with Mac Jones.
Yeah.
So would you?
That walk, Mac Jones bad.
Hey, he for sure. Them is for sure some Kirkland shorts, man. Them is for sure.
So would you?
Oh,
I'm telling you, bro. His feet is on fire in them shoes, bro. His feet is hurting. Them dogs are barking.
It was honorable mention at the end of the day, but we'll get back to this. Obviously, if he has a great season, we'll come back to this whole moment right here.
He cut the dreads. He got the PE clothes on, bro. He ready to work.
No, for real. No, he ready to work for sure. But we're not done yet. Before we do that, make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell. Before we go, I did tell you guys like of a scenario that I was thinking about. Obviously with all the trade rumors going down with the defensive tackle, Vita, you know, I was thinking about a trade scenario on the offensive side of football, right? A big need, obviously nose tackle, defensive tackle, you could argue that's a big need. But then when you think about, let's say, you know, wide receiver, you could argue that, hey, you know, maybe we could add another piece on offense. We've been talking about that position. That was a position that we thought that the Raiders were gonna, like, you know, emphasize in the offseason, especially in the draft. There was guys on the board. The Raiders opted to go a different position. But now we're here. So I was thinking about a scenario with some of these teams. And one of the teams is the Arizona Cardinals. And they have a former first round pick. What was it? It wasn't a number one pick. I think it was a top 3 pick, right?
No. Yeah, I want to say it was top 3 pick, yeah.
Yeah, and Marvin Harrison Jr.
Marvin Jones. I think he played for the Lions. Played for the Lions.
Yeah, he had, once upon a time, he had a nice little. He was never a number 1, but he had like a.
He was nice though.
He was a nice little complimentary receiver. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was nice.
Yeah, hold on, let me get this off the screen. But yeah, so he's obviously not having the start that everybody envisioned him. He was supposed to be this generational guy. He was supposed to have this, he was supposed to be day one impact player. We've seen a lot of wide receivers get drafted early and have impact right away. He hasn't been that guy. And some people are questioning, his confidence a little bit now, like he's been shot because he's been hurt a little bit. I think there's talent there, but I'm not sure if he is as talented as what people thought he was going to be, or he was going to be as productive, or he's not going to be as productive as what people thought he was going to be. I think he still can be a good to even great receiver, but not as much as what people thought, like that generational receiver. Like, Malik Neighbors, now like we look back, like Malik Neighbors, obviously he was the true number 1 wide receiver from that draft.
Yeah,
like,
that was number 1 in mine. That was the guy I had number 1.
Yeah, that was the guy that you had number 1. A few other people I know like had him number 1 as well. Marvin, I'm still not out on him, but I think that there's still talent there. I just think that a change of scenery is needed. Would you consider a trade for Marvin Harrison Jr.? Or there's another guy. There's another guy that's on that same team, Cardinals, Michael Wilson, who when Marvin Harrison was junior was able to have some big games, like 180-yard games, over 100-yard plus games, in games that Marvin Harrison Jr. wasn't there. Shout out to my guy Ray. He kind of threw this at me, and I'm like, made me think a little bit. Would he be a possible trade candidate, or would you even consider trading for a guy like that? Michael Wilson, who's on the up and up, who's last year was his 3rd year of the year. He broke 1,000 yards, just over 1,000 yards receiving, on a Cardinals team that really didn't have consistent quarterback play. Quarterback play was kind of like, you don't know what to expect. Jacoby Brissett, Kyle Murray, but either way, he was able to crack the 1,000 yards receiving. Would you consider a trade for a Michael Wilson or a Marvin Harrison Jr.?
So it all depends on what the trade compensation is for each, because it could be a situation where you end up getting tremendous value for Michael Wilson, just because he's not a big name player, but he was very productive in his role, and when he was put into the correct role, he had a really good year. And it could be a situation like, remember when the Patriots traded the Dolphins for Wes Welker? I forgot what they traded. They traded like nothing. It was like, I forgot what it was, like a 4th or something like that, like 4th or 5th, something like that.
Yeah,
they traded that for Wes Welker, and people were like, man, like, what are you doing? Why are you trading this for Wes Welker? And then Wes Welker got over there, and he started destroying the league. It's because they knew how they were going to use him. They kind of saw that potential in him already, so they were kind of able to get him for pennies on the dollar. And if it's a situation like that where we're able to get Michael Wilson for like super cheap and get him over here and he immediately becomes our best wide receiver, then you do it. The thing with Marvin Harrison is that there is so much talent there and so much untapped potential. And these Ohio State guys, like, all of them have been good. Like, he would be like, he was supposed to be one of the best ones, and he's the only one thus far that really hasn't had success. Like, Jackson had success. Emeka last year had success. Olave has had success. Garrett Wilson has had success. Marvin was supposed to be the guy out of all of those guys, and he's the only one that hasn't. So you're kind of banking on him, you know, being able to unlock that potential he has. But at the same time, you're going to probably pay a premium still for the name and for the draft position and for the potential. So the better value would likely be Michael Wilson. But you know, if you want to swing for the fences and potentially, like, if you can get Marvin Harrison for like a second and he turns in, you know, or a third and he turns into he realizes the potential that he had as a draft pick, then you got yourself like a hell of a steal.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it because I agree with the Marvin Harrison Jr. I just think about like the talent when he was drafted. Obviously, there's still talent there. The reason why you can consider a trade for him now, and the reason I'm throwing it out there, it's not because I want the Raiders to trade for players who are terrible. It's more like, man, like this could be a trade where you can trade for a talent player at a very reasonable cost.
Yeah.
So a former first-round pick, a guy that has the talent but obviously hasn't put it all together. You know, I've seen like, you know, Cardinals media, you know, on social media just point out like his confidence, you know, pointing out his interview. He's just not all the way confident there. His confidence might be shot. So maybe a change of scenery might doing well. Obviously, you know, having better coaching, better quarterback situation. And then like my guy, not about Harrison, will come to life with Mendoza. That's another thing too, is like Mendoza I feel like Mendoza works well, which is good. We'll see how it works out. I think Mendoza, you know, if he's a good quarterback, he's going to work well with all types of receivers. But like, I do like getting Mendoza a guy that can go up and go get it. And he has a guy in Brock Bowers. It's nice, tight end. We all know who Brock Bowers is and what the player is. But at wide receiver, if we can get a guy, which historically, if you're looking at Clint Kubiak, he kind of values kind of the smaller, fast wide receivers. So it's going to be interesting to see how they build a receiver core. Like, do they take into account like, all right, well, yeah, we value these types of receivers, but do we get a guy that Mendoza can utilize his skill set as far as like the go up and go get it type receivers? Because I feel like I think Harrison is kind of like one of those guys who I think he could be a route runner, but also go up and go get it. And to someone's point, I think someone in the chat was like, they were comparing him to Devontae Adams. You know, and Adams took a few years to kind of put it all together. But
True.
We'll see. But I just feel like there's some upside with him and Mendoza. I don't know why. I just could see like, oh, if we can get this for like a fourth, fifth, you know, I ain't gonna lie, I would pull the trigger.
Yeah,
I'll pull the trigger.
I'll pull it for a third. Second, I'm probably saying no. But if we get even for a third, I'm like, the risk versus reward for that, I'll take the chance on that.
And then like if it hits, you can really focus on other areas of the team, like the trenches, which obviously we all know the game is won in. It's just like a win-win if we can make that happen. If we can figure out, see, this is where all the good GMs, the good, you know, talent evaluators, they attack these types of deals and they can get guys on like good, you know, trade compensation and get talented players. Now, Michael Wilson, he's on the up and up. So I'm not sure if like the Cardinals would be like, he just had 1,000 yards receiver season, like the first time in his career. It's his third year in his career. So most likely he's going to be up for a deal. I think Marvin Harrison, when was he drafted?
Brock, same year as Brock. So you still have, you'd have 3 years because you still have his 5th year option. So you have this year plus next year, and if you pick up his 5th year option, so you'd have 3 years basically.
but let's forget about the 5th year option, because the reason why I say that is because like if you make a trade for Marvin Harrison Jr., you got to be like, all right, this is a risk, right? Like, all right, we're trading for a guy, we think he has talent, but we also don't know how it's going to work out. So, but we need some time for us to evaluate him before we even feel like we can give him a contract. Sometimes I feel like teams don't want to make a trade because they're going to be forced to make a deal, and they don't want to do that. I don't think that's going to be the situation with Marvin Harrison Jr. So they're going to have some time to evaluate him before they even have to like force to make a deal. So he would be on a rookie deal. So like that's another thing. I'm like, all right, well, that's kind of interesting, But so you would be leaning towards Wilson or Marvin Harrison, the upside of Marvin Harrison Jr. Because there's upside with Michael Wilson. It's just like you would you would have to pay him.
Yeah, he's a little. I want to say, I'm pretty sure he's older too. I think he's like 27 or something like that.
Wait, did the Cardinals draft Michael Wilson? Let me see.
I want to say they drafted him in like the 4th or 5th round out of Stanford. I know he's out of Stanford.
Okay, so his last year. Oh, damn, he's a contract year.
He's in a contract. Okay, he's in a contract.
Because after the first round, it's 4 years, right?
4 years, yeah.
So next season would be his 4th year.
Okay, so the season coming up.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So if you trade him, then you got to pay him too. So like I said, Marvin Harrison, you get a little more team control of him. You get that extra year, plus you have the opportunity to pick up the 5th year option. So I think you have to do that prior to the start of the 4th year. So you essentially have this year as a tryout basis, and if not, you can you can let it play out, and if he balls out in his final year, then you kind of take that chance and you can try to sign him to an extension still. But if he has if he has a solid enough showing this year, then you can pick up the 5th year option. You got 2 years of team control, while you probably work out an extension anyway, because you still want to extend him on this contract at that point. So
that's not for you, Severe. This is for this comment right here. We good with Dante Thornton Jr. We trust. Sorry, bro. Not hard. I don't want to break it to you, but the reason why we're having this conversation is because he ain't cutting it right now. But
he might be cutting it coming in the training camp.
But yeah, JSN took 3 years. So look, hey, we'll see. I'm just saying, if it's a situation where it's like a 4th, you trading for a Marvin Harrison Jr., I'm like, man, like it seems like the 4th round is where the Raiders like to get risky. So
yeah, exactly.
And if you could find out like, hey, there's some talent here, you could build upon it, you could coach him up, you could do all the you're able to realize that's just we could now focus on the trenches, because that's all I'm thinking. Like, all right, outside of like, let's say Marvin Harrison Jr. proves to be like a good player, good to great player. So wide receiver doesn't become like a big need for us.
Yeah.
Where would you be drafting I know we're looking ahead, but 2027 draft, where would you be looking at? What, D-line or O-line? Or
interior defensive line or offensive line, interior offensive line, probably, yeah, or possibly a right tackle, but yeah, one of those spots.
Boom. Boom.
Yeah.
And now the Raiders are even better.
Yeah.
Just like that's how much like the impact of adding someone on the trenches, and that hits, if you can hit on it, especially makes the Raiders even that much dangerous moving forward.
Or you get frisky and still take a wide receiver. like forget it, bro. Look, if we get a good enough weapon, but look, at that point that frees you up to take Colin Simmons. Frees you up to take Dylan Stewart, right? Like or frees you up to take Amari. What's the kid from Oregon? Amari Washington, I think. Like it frees you up to do one of those things where you can take an interior defensive lineman, or you can take a pass rusher, like one of those guys that could be a potential franchise cornerstone. Like you can do that. Like I said, because we're at the top of the draft, and we know if Jeremiah Smith is there, I'm still taking Jeremiah Smith. But if he's not there, I don't have to take Ryan Williams. I don't have to take Cam Coleman. I can take Dylan Stewart. I can take Colin Simmons, right? I can do those things and feel confident because I still have a good enough X receiver plus Brock Bowers. Like that, that's going to feed families.
Yeah. So I kind of lean towards Marvin Harris Jr. just because of like everything that I mentioned, like the upside, the fact that like he still would be on a rookie deal, and obviously if we can get him for a fourth or lower, I'll do it instantly. But for Michael Wilson, you can argue like, all right, the Raiders in the second round, they've been highly conservative. If you can tell me you get a guy that plug and play starter, you pay wide receiver, but those wide receivers a premium position. Those are the positions that you actually pay for because those positions actually matter, right? So if you can get a guy that you can argue that we currently don't have, you know what I mean, on a contract for the next, he's 26 years old, you know what I mean, for the next 3 to 4 years, that's not a bad situation to be in. But, you know, that's the argument for Michael Wilson. But I just want to throw it out there because I just wanted to see what everybody thought about it. But I think Marvin Harrison Jr. for me, I kind of like that scenario a little bit. But I wouldn't be mad at Michael Wilson. I just feel like, all right, the Raiders would have to pay a little bit more, and they would be forced to pay too. Because then imagine trading for a Michael Wilson for a second rounder. You're forced to pay him. Like you have to pay him. Like what happens if he has a terrible season? Like I know the likelihood of it is like kind of smaller now because he's kind of on the up and up. He's an upward trending player, but still, I'm just saying. If I'm gonna take a risk, I'm like, all right, let me just low risk. I like low risk, high reward moves sometimes, but it is what it is. We appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe, hit that notification. But we're not done yet. Notable quotables. Severe, what we got on our first notable quotable?
Facts. Our first notable quotable. We can go with let's go with Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin, obviously former coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, longtime coach. Guy never had a losing record in his all his years as an NFL head coach. I think the streak for the longest start to a career without having a losing record. He was recently talking about kind of his approach to coaching, and one of the things he said that he never wanted to do was take exceptional people and try to confine them to conventional roles. And that's something he learned early in his coaching career, and it's something that carried throughout his entire coaching career. And that's piece points to that, allowing him to have guys play these different roles and different defenses and still be successful because of something he learned very early in his career.
All right, here we go.
I had a job to do in terms of getting them prepared and preparedness and stuff like that. But when you coach unique guys, they rewrite convention and rules in terms of how you coach, right? You know what I mean? Like the mental capacity of Barber as a nickel, it challenged me to coach him different. Like he'd be like, hey man, when they run that counter away, man, you want me to chase that guard? Like, yeah.
You say it just like that?
Yeah. So now I got to coach it.
He's about to, I don't know what was going on there, man. I thought he was going to collapse.
I think they're like eating. I think they're eating right now. They're eating and like having drinks while they're doing it. So it's crazy.
Dude just got carried away there. I was like,
dude more almost Shanahan, bro.
Man, I had to call the ambulance.
Man,
now, coaching Sam linebacker because he sees it like a Sam linebacker. You follow me? I think that whenever you have unique players, whenever you have great players, you're learning from them and applying the things that they do naturally that they can't articulate, and you try to teach others.
Because you'd be negligent not to not take something from a great player.
No,
and
here's the
use
thing.
It. Like to say, like a great player comes and says, "I'm gonna do this." No, don't do that. You're not on the field. He's on the field.
Here's the thing. Forget them. They do it.
Yeah.
They might not even be able to articulate how or why they do it.
Sure.
That's what makes them who they are. I think the key is, and the thing is, and I think the benefit that I had was I was so young in coaching that I just wasn't resisted. You know what I mean? I wasn't like, oh, no, this is how I do it. You know what I mean? And so I was so young in coaching that when Lynch would do something freaky. I'm like, like, what were you thinking there? What were you looking at? How can we make that a new rule? Like, how can I teach?
Like Troy, I see something coming.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? That's why I had such a tolerance for Troy and what made him so special. Because I've been fortunate. I've been around guys that are a little bit different.
Well, as you were saying that, I was curious because you said early on you were more flexible to be more open-minded to that.
Thank you,
Do you
sir.
feel as if as you've progressed in your coaching career that you've been more or less open to player suggestion?
I don't know.
Because you have a track record.
I don't know the answer to that, because like I got shaped by you. We all get shaped by the journey.
Sure.
And so I was around these unique dudes at an early age that created this give and take and this openness in me that I've carried with me forever, that I don't know what my perspective would be like if I hadn't been exposed to them.
Best Kobe.
Yeah, I had a job.
Man, I thought there was a lot of wisdom with Tomlin breaking down how he kind of views coaching great players and how he kind of, there's a lot of good perspective on how he goes about it. And what I got from that, it was like he kind of came with it from an open mind, and he even admitted like a lot of it had to do with his age too as well. Like he was just young coach trying to figure things out, and then he kind of was like, hey, let's try this out and see if it worked kind of attitude. And man, and from what he was able to learn and apply, it worked for him. I mean, the guy was most consistent head coaches out there. I mean, I think he never had a losing season, you know. And it's that there's something to say about that. You know what I mean? We got to give some flowers to that. I know a lot of people are like, well, you know, he inherited a team in the Steelers, and you know, but at the end of the day, like, to me,
the Steelers coach for like 16 years, bro. Like he didn't inherit the team that lasted for 16 years.
Well, no, not this. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about when he won.
Oh yeah. But I'm saying like just having that consistency, like that entire time wasn't like that original team.
Oh yeah. But like when he won at the highest level, it was, you can argue that was like Bill Cowher's team. You know what I mean? A lot. You could argue that. So that's all I'm saying. But the fact is that he was pretty consistent. He never had a losing season. There's something to say to that. On top of that, honestly, to me, this is just my like, I never thought that Roethlisberger was a great QB. I thought he was a good to really good QB.
Yeah.
In my opinion, because when you stack him with like the QBs of his time, I felt like he fell short of them. And not to say that, just because he wasn't as good, he wasn't great, but I just felt like they were great, and it would be crazy to call Roethlisberger great when he wasn't them.
Their level, yeah.
At their level, it was like an obvious like difference, like you know, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees. Like those were the guys that like it was just them, and then everybody else kind of fell after that. So and then I bring that up is because that's what Tomlin had, and he was able to win with that, and he was able to, but there was obviously because for the people were like, well, he had Roethlisberger, but like he wasn't. I don't think he was as good, because think about it. Who did Roethlisberger had talent around him?
He did, yeah.
Ooh, he had talent.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to talk about defense, you want to talk about offense. He had Antonio Brown. He had all these weapons on offense for a good stretch. It was a time where we thought that the Steelers couldn't miss when it came to evaluating the wide receiver position.
Yeah, they always had guys. They always had guys.
Yeah, they always had guys, and they always were able to be productive with the Steelers. And make plays.
Plaxico, Santonio.
Yeah.
What was Mike? What was the dude? The Mike Wallace, AB. You know, Juju. Like they're guys back to back.
Yep.
And just recently, oh boy, Pickens.
And they played their best ball with them.
Yeah.
Too. So
like, didn't Chase Claypool get off as a rookie with them and then never did nothing else again ever?
Yeah, Chase Claypool, and then it was the other receiver, the White Tiger.
Oh, from Clemson. I forget his name. Yeah, I know you're talking about. Damn, I forget his name.
Man, for a second,
I thought the one we traded for. Yeah.
Yeah, but he just, probably off the field, couldn't put it all together. But the talent was there. The talent
out of Clemson. Out of Clemson. What's his name? Out of Clemson.
White Tiger, man. Raider fans, where y'all at, man? Let us know. Like, who did John Gruden trade for? It was like a 3rd-round pick. Was it 3rd or 4th he traded for back?
It was a 3rd. The same thing we traded for. Well, we traded a 3rd for him. We traded a 3rd and a 5th for AB.
From the Steelers. Before AB. I'm trying to think. Guess is a good.
Played at Clemson. Damn, I can't remember his name.
Did he play against him?
Martavius Bryant. There you go.
Martavius Bryant. Chill right, man. Shout out to you. On fire today.
Chill right.
On fire. But yeah, man. Hey, it's a lot of wisdom, man. I had a lot of respect for him. But I will say that he didn't have that, and he was kind of living off that. And then like you seen how like the quarterback play deteriorated with Roethlisberger, and the team got older, but he still was able to like figure out ways to win. And I look, as Raider fans, we can come from a place of respect because we've seen, shout out to the nation, man. Appreciate you, one of the best brands out there, man. I got a couple of shirts. I got to re-up, man. I got to re-up and give you a few shirts
same here.
From the nation, cop some gear. But yeah, I looked at it from that perspective. Like, I just felt like his ability to like just continue to winning, even though like players were getting older, the team was getting hurt. We all know how the NFL works. That was pretty impressive. Did he have the best quarterback? I don't think so. Did he have the best of everything? No, I don't think so. At the end of the day, like, look.
Yeah. I mean, he run with everybody. He won with Mason. He won with Mason Rudolph. He won with Kenny Pickett. He won with Justin Fields. He won with Russell Wilson. Like no matter who you put back there, he figured out a way to win games.
Damn, Le'Veon Bell. He had Le'Veon Bell too.
Yeah,
them Steelers offenses, bro. I'm just saying, like, them Steelers offense, they had talent. And I just felt like, Roethlisberger, I was wondering, like, why was he not getting this team over the hump? Like, at some point when I look at a quarterback and I look at, like, if I'm looking at the pieces around him, I'm like, man, this is pretty legit. And they're not winning. Do you look at the quarterback or do you look at the head coach? Because now I'm looking at the quarterback at that point.
I mean, depends on why, like, what you see. If they're not like deploying the talent properly, then you kind of got to look at the head coach. But if the talent is being deployed properly and they're just not executing, some of that is coaching. But that's you got to look at the quarterback too. Like, kind of what are you doing?
For real. No losing season with Pickett is Hall of Fame worthy. Facts. Big Ben never beat us in Oakland, man. I think that's just the right man. You know what? That is hella fun. That's never happened. Has it ever happened?
They never beat us. I remember. Wasn't there a game that AB went crazy on this? I don't remember if that was
one of the wins. One of the wins in 2-14 season was against the Steelers. That's where Nnamdi had a pick six to the house. Chris Carr, remember that cornerback, Chris Carr? From back in the day. Wasn't like a great player or anything like that, but he had a big I think it was like goal line interception. It was like 70, 80 yard, 90 yard touchdown to the house. But
Chris Carr? Chris Carr was Chris Johnson.
It was Chris Carr.
Okay. I remember Chris Johnson. Chris Carr, I don't remember that. I don't remember him as much.
And then Derek Carr had a game. We had a crazy game against. Damn it. I don't know. I got to look that up. Oh, he's saying Big Ben, not just the Steelers. Big Ben never beat the Raiders in Oakland. So when he was healthy.
Oh, okay.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah, Ben did start living on.
Ben was above average and pretty good. Yeah. I'm not taking it away from him. I just never thought he was great. Because it was just like, man, I was like, damn, how come?
Yeah, he was a good player, but he wasn't.
But he had like great qualities of him. I mean, he had like his ability to like kind of extend the play. I think You know what I mean? He was a big guy. You couldn't really take him down at first contact. Like, and obviously he had a pretty good arm. Like, but I don't know. I just felt like he could have been better. But that being said, we're not done yet. We got another notable quotable. We got Severe.
Yeah, ironically, man, we got another former Steelers head coach. We got Bill Cowher. You see why the Steelers have been such a consistent organization for such a long time. They hire these kind of people as their head coach. But Bill Cowher is talking about the importance of the assistant coaches on a staff.
All right, here we go.
There's a lot more going on behind the scenes. And let's just be respectful of the fact that, like, we don't know everything.
Right.
We can sit there and speculate on a lot of things, but that's just speculation because, there's probably a lot more to it than we even know. So it's hard for me to sit there and, that's the receiver's fault. How do you know it's the receiver's fault? Maybe the receiver's actually right and the quarterback might have been wrong, or the quarterback's fault. But maybe the receiver didn't go deep enough or go short enough. I don't know what they called. I'm not sure exactly what the progression is for the read.
Right.
And we all sit there with these guys all the play. Oh, I know exactly what they did. Like, no, you don't. Like you're not in that meeting room. Like we all think we think that's cover 2. We think that he probably should be a little bit wider or deeper, like maybe he should stay with them. But I don't know what he's being told.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what's being said because we all can teach us some of the game is chess. It's not checkers. There's so many little idiosyncrasies that we know, and everyone plays it a little bit differently, and you don't know what's being said in that room. And that's why a lot of these teams, we look at the head coaches, but let's just look at the assistant coaches, because to me, those are more important. Like I coach coaches. That I didn't coach the players as a head coach. I coached the coaches because I wanted them to be able to have that relationship with the player, and not just me as a head coach. Like I'll intervene if I have to have an intervention. And I'm going to tell coordinators, like, okay, we're not throwing the ball. We're going to run it here. And we have to blitz more. And I want to save a blitz to the second half, so they have to make an adjustment there. So I was involved with the defensive side strategically and even offensively. So, I mean, I just think a head coach should be on both sides of the ball. You need to be the person that if there's intervention needed on both sides of the ball, you need to intervene. But let them do their thing. Let the coaches do it. Let them call their games. Let the coaches the individual players. You can see it from afar, and you can coach the coaches, and so that to me is like, and that's how you give them a chance to become a head coach. That's how
Sheesh. Hey, man. That was a drop the mic moment, man. We got to... How many times have we said, like, hey, look, as much as we want to hire the right coach, we got to hire the right staff, too. Yeah. And, like, you can see why Bill Cowher was a great coach for a long time, and his views on how he views having a good staff, good assistants. He lets people do their job. And you know what? To just bring it back to the Raiders, Clint Kubiak seems to have that mentality. When he talks about the coaching staff and who he leans on, and he's obviously he says that, we want to be on the same page, but I'm a big believer in letting guys letting them do their job. So he's saying all the right things in terms of that, but if he kind of, follows through on that, going to what Bill Cowher is saying here, man, like, this is exactly what you want to hear. He says he coaches coaches. He doesn't coach players. He coaches coaches, which is a fire statement in itself. It was Bill Cowher, former Steelers coach, the guy that, like Severe said, he inherited. Mike Tomlin inherited his team with the Steelers. I think Mike McCarthy gets fired soon. Yeah, we'll see. But I agree, man. I think I'm hoping for the best with Rob Leonard at defensive coordinator for the Raiders, because I'm always going to bring it back to the team. Because great quote, great statement by Bill Cowher. We always feel like this. We always feel like, having a great staff is such an important thing, especially with certain coaches too. Guys like who are very, let's say maybe they have the look of the head coach. They're not really X's and O's guys, but they can get the guys fired up, to follow their lead. Those are the guys where I felt like needed to have like good X and O's assistants to have a good game plan, to build a good game plan and all that type of good stuff, right? Especially those guys. But he's just saying, period, Bill Cowher, like, you need to have a great coaching staff and let them do their job, and also have the relationship with the players, you know, in order for them to get the best out of them too. So I felt like it was a great quote by Bill Cowher. Definitely a notable quotable. I mean, what was your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, you know, how you want to run an organization. Is like you want to delegate authority to other people, and you kind of have oversight of it, and you have input into it, but you don't want to be the person that's the driving force behind it at all times, right? You set forth the vision. You bring in people that are going to implement that vision for you, and then you oversee them implementing that vision. And if there's a time where you need to step in and you need to recalibrate or adjust some things, then you do that. But you want to be able to take a holistic approach and a holistic look at things, and that's why the Kubiak, when we hired him, the hope was that he would bring in an experienced defensive coordinator, because especially with the head coach that's an offensive minded head coach and he's going to be calling plays, like that's very comprehensive. That's like takes a lot of detail work, a lot of film study, a lot of looking at teams' tendencies, then you're doing the install and like getting the game plan together, doing all that stuff just on the defensive side of the ball. You don't really have time to be involved as much with the defense. So you would hope that you have a guy on that side of the ball that knows what he's doing and has some experience doing it. But we zigged instead of zagging, and we hired a guy that's a first-time defensive coordinator as well. Now, fortunately, we have a guy like Joe Woods, who's been a defensive coordinator before. I think we have another former defensive coordinator on the staff as well. So you have some guys that can kind of help on that side of the ball. But getting help from those guys is not the same as getting input and involvement from the head coach. That's why when Sean McVay was first hired, as the head coach for the Rams, he had I forgot my guy's name. He had you're
talking about former Dallas coach.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Damn. It's killing me. My memory's jacked up.
The best late night show out here. Make sure to clock in, hit that like button.
But he had what's my guy's name? But he had him as a defensive coordinator because he can kind of not only help Sean McVay, adjust to the head coaching role, which is something else we kind of need somebody to do. But we have Mike McCoy here who's been there before, so maybe he can kind of assist in that. But he can also run the defense with very little input from Sean McVay. So, like Sean McVay, I mean, ultimately Kubiak you also have to hire a staff you trust. Wade Phillips. There you go. Yeah. So but you also have to hire people you trust. Obviously, Robbie Leonard is not a guy that Kubiak really has a relationship with, but he trusts him enough to entrust him with the DC role. And obviously, all the other people on the staff, Kubiak has had a relationship with in the past, in the recent past, or in the distant past, or has familial ties to him where they worked with his dad or something of that nature. So he built a staff of people that he trusts. And he knows outside of maybe Robbie Leonard. So you kind of hope that synergy there is still there, and he's still able to kind of have at least some sort of input into all those places. But we talked about it before, man. Like with Dan Campbell, what's the one thing that Dan Campbell is really good at? Hiring staff. He hired a good staff, two former coordinators that are head coaches. And I think Dan Campbell talked about the importance of hiring good staff previously. One of the reasons why we're looking at the Chargers this off season and saying, man, they're a team that could be dangerous next year is because even though they lost Jesse Minter as defensive coordinator, they hired an incredible offensive coordinator in Mike McDaniel. So a staff is extremely important. And being able to identify that kind of talent that not only helps you identify guys to run those particular units, but it could be a potential head coaching job in the future if the guy that is the head coaching steps away or gets fired, then you still have a talent pipeline, and you want to continue to build that talent pipeline.
Yeah, no, facts. I just like the idea of like him understanding like, you know, the coaches need to do their job and you need to have like a good staff around you, and like it means something coming from him because he was a great coach in his day. He was able to win the Super Bowl, put together a Super Bowl winning team, and obviously coach a Super Bowl winning team. So, and I just like what he said, like how he would obviously let them do their job, but he would intervene when it's time to intervene. Yeah. And I like how he broke down the fact that like there, you know, he was strategically involved on the defensive side of the football and on the offensive side when something needed to be changed up. But he was always looking at the game he was an inside, but from the outside looking in, like, you know, like he was looking at the full chessboard and knowing exactly what was going on. And that's what I like, because how many times have we seen Raider games where we're like, what are we doing? Like, why is there not an adjustment here? Like, why are we doing this? Like, why are we continuing to do the same thing? Like, to hear him say like, hey, look, like you would tell his defensive coordinator, like, hey, we need to not wait till the third or fourth quarter to start blitzing, so then they wouldn't have enough opportunity to, you know, to adjust to that. And to hear that coming from him, I hope that we can get that of a Clint Kubiak. But Clint Kubiak, as much as he's hands off on the coaching staff as he likes to say, he will ultimately be the play caller on offense.
Exactly.
But the one thing I'll give him to credit him is that like we've seen successful head coaches be play callers.
Exactly.
It's not like the Raiders are going against the grain by hiring a guy that, like, that's the one thing I used to hate with the Raiders. They would go against the grain while nobody's doing it, except the Raiders are going to try to do something and no one else. There's no proven track. Like, come on, bro. Like, why are we always got to be that team? But in this case, there are proven successful coaches around the NFL that are play callers. So there are other ways to get the job done. And if Clint Kubiak can focus on offense, that's fine. But also be able to look at it from looking at the chessboard and oversee the team as well, which I'm sure there's probably going to be some. Would you say there would be? Is it fair to say that there will be some growing pains for a first-year head coach?
Oh, definitely.
Because like he's going to be a play caller. Before it was he was strictly a play caller. Now he's a play caller and a head coach. He needs to oversee the entire football team. So. Yeah. From a game management standpoint, from a strategic standpoint, you know, things that like Cowher was mentioning, like he needs to be involved in that too as well. That's what you would want, right? So we'll see. I mean, he has some experience. He in his pressure today, he mentioned like the value of having experienced coaches that he leans on, like the Rick Dennison's and the Mike McCoy's, former head coach, former offensive coordinator, you know, longtime coach in the league. And you know, a few other coaches on the staff.
I think Joe Woods probably is another guy that's been a long time guy, and
special teams coordinator that's been around for a while. He's able to lean on that experience, so that's good. And I think they've kind of have like a mix of like youth and experience. So we'll see how it goes. But definitely great, notable, quotable. Like it was pretty good from two great coaches.
Yeah, facts, man. Yeah, like, but both of them had great points, man. Like the Mike Tomlin one, I think, you know, that was one that was the most kind of intriguing to me, just seeing how impactful your formative years are to who you eventually are as a person. Because he talked about, you know, like. You know, then that's when we talk, like, you know, I work in recruiting and I work in like, you know, like basically staffing and recruiting. And one of the things is they talk about how important onboarding is, you know, a new team member having a good onboarding, because that kind of like, that's where you level set and you set the trajectory. So like they're just like, at that point, they're a ball of clay, and you kind of, you know, obviously there's like, you know, limitations to how good a person can be, and some people have unlimited potential, but like you are the person, or whoever is in charge of the onboarding, you get a chance to kind of set them on their path and like build some of those principles in them early. And if you build those proper principles in them, like Mike Tomlin learned that lesson as a DB coach with Tampa Bay, right? Like learning from Rondé Barber, and he's like, oh damn, like this was good. This is how I want to, and you know, so I'm sure he took that to his defensive coordinator job with the Vikings, and maybe those same principles is what end up landing him his gig with the Steelers. And then, you know, that we know the rest is history. But like he learned that early on in his career. And if you think about people that maybe some people who didn't learn that lesson or thinking of how things could have been differently if a coach had been set in his ways, I always think about Lawrence Taylor when he was playing for Bill Parcells, I want to say. And, you know, Bill Parcells told him to do a certain thing. And instead of doing that, Lawrence Taylor rushed the passer and got a sack. And Bill was like, no, that's not what I want you to do. That's not how I'm coaching it. Like, I want you to do this. And then they did. The play happened again, and Lawrence Taylor did the same thing. He got another sack. And then Bill Parcells was like, basically, okay, fine. That's what you do. Just make sure you get a sack every time. So Lawrence Taylor was like, okay, cool. I'm just gonna make sure I'm being an imp. But let's say if Lawrence Taylor had just done what Bill Parcells told him to do, and not played it the way Bill Parcells told him to, or played it the way Bill Parcells told him to play it, we may never have a Lawrence Taylor, because Bill Parcells was so set in his ways that he didn't have the vision to say, man, I have a special talent here. Yeah. Somebody that can do something that, you know, it hasn't been done this particular way before. Let me utilize that. Let me leverage that. That's what Tomlin saw. And that's what, you know, he saw in a guy. Now, a lot of people would have been able to maximize a Troy Polamalu because he's not really a great coverage safety. You know, his like he's a very unique player. So it takes a unique player, a unique coach to get the most out of that player, because he's a supreme talent. But it's like, what do you do with them? And like, well, if you're creative and if you allow him to be him, then there's a lot you can do with them. And you know, some coaches want a guy to play it a certain way, right, and they'll never let that player, you know, see the fruits of who they are as an athlete, because they just want them to be typecast in a particular role.
Yeah. No, look, man, I hear what Mike Tomlin. I lost my train of thought. I was gonna say something to what you were saying about Mike Tomlin, and but in the meantime, man, make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We're not done yet. We do got what's real, what's not. This is where we say statement, and you know, we react to it as well as you guys, if it's real or not. And this first, or just the one and only what's real, what's not statement here is, at least 3 rookies will be opening day starters for the Raiders. At least 3 rookies will be opening day starters for the Raiders. Is that real or is it not? Let us know in the chat if it's real or not. At least 3 rookies will be opening day starters for the Raiders. Dukes. I'm gonna say that's not real.
You can get to probably get to 2 easy. Like if you think Stooks smashes, maybe. You know, depending on what you feel about, you know, Darian Porter.
Yeah, corner. Corner.
I mean, depending on what you think about Darian Porter, you know.
But then that's
after
what
that.
Yeah, after that, like
after that,
Mendoza would have been like, oh, okay, like then there would have been a possibility. But we now know that, like, I think Mendoza is not going to be starter at or at least week 1 starter.
Mike Washington.
Mike Washington.
No,
I was gonna send it to you. I don't know if I sent it to you, but he had like I think Raider Room posted it or something, like Mike Washington basically saying like, man, like I remember all the running backs that were drafted ahead of me. Like, watch, like he has this confidence, like, bro, I'm gonna be great. We'll see how like you know, his career turns out, but like, man, the talent is intriguing, you know, his size and speed, explosiveness.
Yeah.
But that's another guy that I'm super excited to see, like in training camp, and seeing him, like, you know, obviously he's gonna get a lot of reps and hopefully in like preseason game action. We'll see how he takes on that. But
what's crazy is that he also had like a crazy shuttle time too. Or 3-cone drill, the shuttle time or 3-cone drill. But he also had like a crazy, like, you know, like basically like agility drill. But you don't see that a lot on film, but he has the ability to do it. So if like a coach can like unlock some of that, then he can, you know, he can do some things that maybe like he can add layers to his game that weren't there before. So it's gonna be interesting. Obviously, that you want Mike Washington to be good, but you don't want to be too good, because you know that means Ashton Jeanty isn't doing Ashton Jeanty things. You want Ashton Jeanty to be the focal point, the second focal point on the offense behind Brock Bowers. But I'm thinking I'm gonna say real. And know why? I don't trust Matt Gay as our kicker, bro. I don't trust Matt Gay as our kicker.
Oh, I forgot about the kicker. But even
I don't trust Matt Gay as a kicker.
You know what I do trust? I trust his relationship with the
D. Camilla.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I'm like, they might go veteran and they might keep.
He was like 71% though. That's putrid, bro.
Yeah,
that's putrid.
It was kind of weird, like replacing Carlson with someone that was like literally worse
and older. I want to say.
Yeah. Like if anything, it was kind of, if anything, I would think that like you keep Carlson if it was a player of his caliber or worse available. Like you just keep Carlson and then just probably get a kicker to compete and then make the decision for Carlson. Maybe the money didn't dictate that. Maybe it was like a situation if they cut him now, they didn't have to owe him money type of deal. But
I think like part of it was the money. I think part of it was.
That's probably why I didn't think about it, bro. You said the kickers count.
Hell yeah, kickers count, bro. Special teams is a third of the game, bro. I seen Green Bay lose a playoff game based off special teams.
No, the kicker that he's competing with. Matt Gay is competing with a rookie out of Hawaii.
Yeah. Kensei Matsuzawa.
Yeah.
Tokyo To.
Yeah. Yes. Nanaba says Zune, Stooks, McCoy. I don't know. I can see Stooks, but Zune, I don't think starts. I think this will be developmental year. I think he'll be on the bench. I think if anything, honestly, I think the opening day offensive line starters are going to be from left to right. Colt Miller. What's the guy from San Francisco that they?
Spencer Burford.
Burford, Linderbaum, JPJ, and Glaze.
Yeah.
And I'm basing this not just because this is what my preferred stamp offensive line. It's just the comment that Rick Dennison made. He wants to figure this out as soon as possible because he wants to get the five out there to develop chemistry and start playing together. You know what I mean? And kind of like, developing that on the field chemistry. But me personally, you already know, I would love to have the right tackle position to be a competition. We know right guard might be a little bit of competition, maybe JPJ and Caleb Rogers, it seems like, but I don't know. Spencer Buford has been the starter like since day one. That's been their guy. You know what I mean? He has starter experience. He's experienced in the system, all that good stuff. So we'll see. I just don't see Zune coming in. I think Zune could possibly be first guy off the bench, possibly, maybe. Zune, because they
probably had three or four positions, right? Potentially.
Yeah, but we'll see. We might bring Carlson back. I don't think so. I think that ship is sailed. They cut. That was like the first move of the offseason. Like they literally cut him.
Yeah,
as possible. Like they wanted him.
He was getting paid for a kicker. He was getting a nice chunk of change. So I could see that.
Yeah.
We can't roll with Matt Gay though. Remember that we can't roll in the season with Matt Gay. And Tokyo told me Kensei, he only attempted 2 kicks over 50 his entire collegiate career. He only made one of them. I think it was like 51 yards. And he kicked in like the best climates to be kicked in. So he didn't really never kicked in inclement weather, which we play in the dome. And we're playing the NFC West. I think all of those teams are in the dome. So we don't have a lot of outdoor games this particular season. But, you're not only thinking about just this season when you're putting together your roster. So it might not bite us if we end up rolling with him as our kicker, it might not bite us in the butt this season, but it could potentially hurt us in the future. So, yeah, right now, though, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Stooks, Masses or McCoy. I'm leaning Masses, and then Kensei will be the 3 guys. But I can see Zoom stealing somebody's spot. Hopefully we'll be on the left side. Taking it from Burford. I can't really see any other players starting in that scenario. Only other scenario I can see it is if, let's say the Raiders decide they want to put Stooks as nickel. If they put Stooks at nickel, they probably cut Teron Johnson, and then in that situation, I can see maybe Dalton Johnson as free safety because we don't have another guy on the roster that could play free safety. And he has experience playing it. I can see that scenario playing out potentially. But even then, like I said, I don't think that's happening. I think it's going to be Teron at nickel and then Stooks at like the free safety, post safety role.
All right, we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. But I'm saying it's not real because I just don't see it getting into 3. 2 maybe, but 3 we'll see. But I kind of didn't think about the kicker though. I'm not gonna lie. Shout out to you. He was like saying the same thing, but I didn't think about the kicker. But we'll see, man. Because I like you said, Gay's really not. He's not like an exciting option as a kicker. Like I don't know if there's any upside with him being a kicker. So hopefully, Tokyo Toe goes out there and just kills it and has a great training camp, has a great preseason, doesn't miss from long range. I think that's the big thing with him. There is a question, like I'm not sure if he has a lot of evidence of him kicking from like 50 yards and beyond.
Just 2 kicks his entire collegiate career, and he's 50%.
And I'm looking at like some of these kickers from last year. They came out swinging. It was like the year of the kicker.
No. 50 is like normal now. Like you kicking, like remember back in the days, like man, it's a 50-yarder.
Right.
I don't know if you're gonna make this, and now it's like 52. Okay, it's nothing. Just line it up, get it done. You feel me? Like it's nothing no more.
Right. It's a luxury right now, but I wish the Raiders had that. But if they can have someone hold it seems like it's gonna be a situation where they're gonna have someone hold down the fort for 1 year and until they address it. But right now they got other pressing needs. But hey, man, there's gonna be plenty of time to talk about training camp. Make sure to join us again later this week, man, around the Shield. We'll be able to continue the conversation. Hopefully we'll update you on the latest and greatest with the Raiders, especially with training camp underway. See guys that are standing out, guys who are kind of, showing up in training camp. We'll be able to talk about that as well as have a special guest for you guys. So make sure to tune in and clock in, man. Like if you're first time joining us, definitely subscribe to both channels. We're going live on both channels. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell. At this point, clock out because we heading out of here. But Severe, man, let the people know where they can find you, what to look forward to, all that good stuff.
You guys know what it is, man. The Severe Raider here on YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok, X, IG, Kick, Twitch, True Social, everywhere. The Severe Raider, man. Tap in with your boy. Tuesdays and Thursdays, the 50-50 show and Around the Shield with my dog PharoahNFL. On Wednesdays, I do the Raider War Room, my guy 805 and Christopher Take the Shield. We're gonna be coming back with Sundays after the first week of the preseason. I'm probably not going this week because it is the opening ceremony for the Junior Olympics that my son are in. That's tomorrow night, so I'm gonna be doing that, man. Man, appreciate it, man. Hopefully bring home a medal, man. We'll see.
Let the people know what your son's competing in, man.
He's the 400 and a 4x1.
Jeez,
so
fast. He's fast.
Yeah, man. So hey, for his first year running track too. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. So hopefully we go home with something, man. Like Denzel said, man, we leaving with something. Shout out, man. I don't know if you see Michael Jordan. He's gonna be playing the main role in the Thomas Crown Affair that's coming out, man. I meant to send that to Pharaoh.
What's that about?
The Thomas Crown. I forgot. It's a remake of a movie. It's a thriller. I don't remember exactly what it is. I think Pierce Brosnan was in the original one, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
But I don't remember what the movie is about. It's a thriller, but I forgot exactly what it's about. But yeah, he's supposed to be in a remake.
There's a couple movies on. I still gotta watch the Odyssey.
Me too, man.
But I'm waiting to get some good seats to
IMAX.
I'm not watching it like this, bro. I'm not.
Hey, bro. Just recline the seat back. Get you a neck pillow, bro. It's
Because I actually want to, because it sounds like it's probably arguably the best movie of the year, like from what everybody's saying.
Yeah, probably so far. Yeah.
And it's
best like non-horror movie. That one movie is supposed to be really good.
Which one movie?
Damn, Obsession.
Okay. I got it.
That movie's really good. The movie's like, yeah, it's not. I ain't seen it yet. I heard it's really good, but I heard it's not for the faint of heart though. Like it'll mess you up if you watch it.
Damn, it's one of them movies. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it kind of like is it kind of like what's that Stephen King movie back in the day where he was like an author and like the lady like literally was getting him back to health, but she wouldn't let him leave.
Damn, almost it was a Mercy, not Mercy. Damn, what was it? Something like that. It was a one word. It was with Kathy Bates.
Yeah. Mercy.
Was it Mercy? It might be Mercy. I can't remember. I know what you're talking about. She broke his legs though. Yeah, I remember the movie. Damn, I can't remember the name of it.
Like that movie. She was insane. Was it something similar to that?
No, it's not. It's not like it's just it's. I mean, like I said, I haven't seen it. I just heard about it. But I heard I heard it's really good though. Misery. There you go.
Misery. There you go.
Misery.
Not about it.
I just heard about it. I just heard about it. Everybody says it's a fantastic movie. I think it's broken record for like the most money made or the most profitable film of all time, something like that. And like the most money made by like a small budget film.
Wow.
But it's like I just heard it's like it'll mess you up.
I'm gonna check it out. I gotta check out some movies. So, and that Spider-Man movie coming out, I gotta check that out too, man.
I gotta check that out too. Yeah, man.
Action movie summer, you know what I mean? So, it's coming out. So we definitely gonna check that out. And then when we check it out, man, we'll be able to talk about it, and I'll let you know who's trash as an actor, who's trash as a director. All that
Exactly. How you guys think I am with the Raiders, that's how Pharaoh is with movies.
Oh, man. Hey, look, it's hella funny. Like, I feel like I'm pretty fair with the team. And I could be, it's funny, people could call me negative too as well with the team.
It's crazy.
But
see, just by comparison, you just see like, oh, Pharaoh's real fan. He's the fairest man on earth.
Yeah. you by comparison, I'm like the most positive person.
Exactly.
Man. All right, man. Hey, we appreciate everybody coming through. Like I said, clack out, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Any last thoughts before we head up out of here, Severe?
Nah, man, I see somebody, bro. I ain't watching that Madden movie, bro. That's trying.
That Madden movie, when is it be coming out? I don't even know what
it's not. It's probably not coming out, but that movie look weird.
Well, how about that?
As soon as I saw my boy, what's his name? Nicolas Cage. As soon as I saw Nicolas Cage dressed up. As soon as I saw Nicolas Cage, bro, I was like, yeah, this is a wrap, bro. It's a wrap. I'm not watching it.
Yeah, not about. We're just being honest. Sometimes we differ in our opinions, but we're obviously being honest with the team. But we kind of somewhat like meet somewhere, like, you know what I mean? Like, you might think, Ashton Genty's trash. I think he got some talent, that's the difference sometimes. That might be the difference sometimes. It's like,
I think he's good. I just think he'll never be worth the 6th overall pick.
He's cleaning it up, y'all. He's cleaning it up right now.
That's what I've been saying. I said he'll never be worth the 6th overall pick. I'm gonna maintain that. I think he's a good player, but good don't cut it for 6 that running back.
All right, man. Hey, look, man. We'll see y'all soon, man. We'll see y'all hopefully this Thursday around the Shield, man. Definitely check out. We'll have a guest, and we'll be able to continue the conversation, man. Y'all have a good night, man. We up out of here. Peace.